Over the Panama Canal.
Well, I tell you what is very serious, and that is pushing back on the encroachment of Chinese influence in the Western Hemisphere. Yes, I do.
You think this does that?
I think Donald Trump is trying to send a message to the Chinese, and he's also trying to send a message to everyone else in the hemisphere that I'm not going to put up with this encroachment. Now, what is true is that China is having encroachment in this hemisphere, in Africa, all over the world. They are trying to act like the world's leading superpower. They are trying to exert their values and their way of life all over the world. That used to be our job. And I think what Donald Trump is saying here is, I don't want this in my backyard. America is the world's superpower. More America is better. And I'm sending a message that I'm not going to put up with this sort of creeping Chinese influence in my own backyard.
Help me with this thinking though, really quick. And Karen, I'll bring you in a second. But if it angers Panama, if it hurts relations with Panama, the calculation is it won't and it doesn't matter?
Do I care if Panama is angry? What is Van Halen going to come and be upset about? I mean, honestly, I need them to understand, and Donald Trump needs them to understand that we are the dominant superpower in this hemisphere, and he needs to have a conversation with them about that. And I hope that he does. And yes, they are an ally, but this is a vital thing. This Panama Canal, but I'm just telling you, the encroachment of Chinese influence around the world must be stopped. And if Donald Trump's getting serious about that, that's a good thing.
Karen.
Is Van Halen going to get upset?
Is Panama going to get upset? That's the question of
Van Halen. I love that little aside. He said Van Halen. That was a good one.
Look, I mean, if you take out their Trump derangement syndrome and stretch it out, they would side with anyone but Trump, including China, including Hitler, including Mao. If you stretch out the derangement, Eric, she would side with China in a heartbeat. That's how insane that thinking is. He's just taking it to the next level, saying, he's essentially saying, do you support China? And she says, well, indirectly, if it hurts this guy, yeah, but I don't care if it hurts the country. Of course. I mean, so many people have said, I'm not rooting for this president. You know, other people have said, like Fetterman said, I'm rooting for America, so I'm rooting for Trump, I'm rooting for the presidency, which is the logical, rational answer. But not with these bitches. They would rather see China invade.
Well, think about it this way. I've heard before, if Trump said breathing is good, all these journalists would die.
Well, the great example is Kamala Harris with the vaccine. I'm not taking a Trump vaccine. Oh, there's a vaccine. Everybody's got to take the vaccine. I mean, it's, you know, I'm reading about this. I don't know where this is going, but I'm reading about communism influence, all these different books in Hollywood films in the 1930s and 40s. But there's a bunch of books out there that I will eventually recommend, but I'm reading them right now. And one of the great moments in American history, American communist history in Hollywood, is they're all supporting Stalin and they're all opposed to Hitler. And then all of a sudden, this aggression pact is signed and they switch to supporting Hitler overnight. And because they have aligned with Stalin for 10 minutes. And it's the craziest thing because the virulent anti-communist, albeit the Jews that fled Hitler in Hollywood, start beating them up on the street, these communists who are other celebrities, you know, who are in the Hollywood celebrity world who are pro-communist. Just an absolute wonderful pivot. And then the aggression pact ends and they switch back and they start attacking Hitler again.
And they do it with no sense of irony.
No sense of irony.
Face.
Just so it's one of the great, the closest thing in our time was, in my memory, was Obama going for gay marriage overnight. And every single pundit the next morning going on the air saying why you have to be pro-gay marriage. They weren't the night before, but the leader, the fearless leader, switched his mind and they all switched. That's as close as it got in my lifetime. This thing's even better, the Stalin-Hitler thing, because it goes on. There's editorials. There's people denouncing people. They turn against FDR one minute, then they're for FDR the next. It is marvelous, and it's the same people. Is the reason I'm telling the story. It's the same shit today.
100%. So to continue on the Panama route, we'll see what goes there. We also have Greenland and Canada, and that's kind of like the opening theme for today. Do you think Trump wants to buy Greenland?
Well, it's a question of how you define buy. I mean, we already have military bases there, from what I understand, in northern Greenland. I haven't looked at it for a while, Eric, but I think we do have a military presence in Greenland. Now, we could buy Greenland from Denmark. People go, hey, Mark, what, you lost your mind? No, you could buy Greenland from Denmark. The next time you go to the U.S. Virgin Islands, ask yourself how we got the U.S. Virgin Islands. And I'll tell you how, because in 1917, we paid $595 million to an obscure country called Denmark to buy the U.S. Virgin Islands, which is one of my favorite places to go to on vacation. We bought that from freaking Denmark for $595. So the idea of buying Greenland from Denmark has a history in regards to the United States purchasing property from Denmark.
Yeah, and we have tried before to get Greenland. Apparently, this is not only Trump, and of course, I did not know we bought the U.S. Virgin Islands from Denmark. That's interesting. Yeah. I knew obviously of Alaska as the last really big purchase.
Million, but the equivalent of $595 today, $595 million. But go on, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. But we've tried to buy Greenland multiple times in the past, so it's been on the radar for a while. I don't know. I think it's interesting.
Well, I mean, you could put together a package. It doesn't necessarily have to be straight up cash. You could give them a player to be named later, a pitcher, a shortstop, real estate, free entrance to the Yankee game. I mean, you could put together a whole package, jokingly, that would be in Denmark's interest.
True. Or just grab Denmark at the same time. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Well, you don't want to, look, I mean, that's the complaint that girl was bringing up about Panama. What if Panama is angry? Like this guy said, who cares if Panama is angry? I mean, give me a break. You got Chinese Communist Party elements controlling 2 of the 4 locks of the canal, for Christ's sakes. At some point, it becomes a national security problem, Eric.
I agree. And
Greenland is not. Greenland would be a great piece of the chessboard, but having the ability of the Chinese Communist Party to shut down the Panama Canal in times of crisis is just unacceptable. It's just unacceptable as a nation, right below your belt right there.
I agree.
How you get rid of them is yet to be decided, but they got to go. They got to go, and that canal's got to go back to us. And hopefully Jimmy Carter will still be alive when it comes back into the U.S. sphere of influence.
Poor Jimmy. I don't even know if he's aware. I mean, between him and Joe Biden, I'm not sure who's less aware of what's going on.
Well, how about William Webster? I mean, he is against Kash Patel, and he is against what's her name? Tulsi Gabbard getting these positions in the intelligence world. William Webster is 100 years old on life support, and yet he wrote a letter denouncing, we're supposed to believe, Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard yesterday to the New York Times. Give me a break.
If Jimmy Carter can, stay around to vote for Kamala, I'm sure that people are helping William Webster write letters. It's like that
nursing home lady, Granger from Texas. Let me see here. Former CIA, FBI head to Senate reject Patel and Gabbard. Okay, well, he's 100. He is in a diaper, and he lives in his bed. Okay, so now we're taking advice from this guy. Amazing. I mean, they're so desperate. They're running out of players on the chessboard, Hunley. You know what I mean? They're running out of pieces on the board to play with. They're down to a rook or a pawn, and they're just like saying, I'm the king, with one piece left on the chessboard.
Yeah, I mean, okay. But in fairness, of course, MAGA's not doing very well at the moment either, because you can't let anything go on without an internal dispute by a lot of players. So, we've got to talk about H-1B and what's going on. Everybody's going bonkers.
Look, the story out here is the farmers are freaking out because of expected mass deportation of grape pickers, which is a real problem. I don't know about these engineers with the H1V1 virus, but the mass deportation of lettuce pickers could greatly affect the economy. Now, those people used to have temporary visas where they used to come in for picking season. This goes back to Cesar Chavez time, and then they split. You couldn't stay here. You got to go. You pick your grapes, you get paid, you get out, you go back to Sinaloa and build a house.
They have that not only with the grape picking, but I don't know if you've been to Disney World. You see people from all around the world. They do have short-term visas for hospitality industry and some stuff like that.
This is large amounts of people brought in here.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, for the picking, this is thousands and thousands of people who have to be put up and fed and housed and everything, which has been going on successfully for decades. I mean, this is nothing new. What they're talking about is the people that didn't leave.
Right, or the people who just walked in. I mean, these people came in, they applied, they filled out paperwork, blah, 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 blah. And for however long of a period of time, they did legally come in and are contributing in a way. Now, the H-1B stuff, both sides are right and both sides are wrong on this one, I think. It's a
it's a complicated issue. I've heard both sides. I've agreed with both sides. I've been against both sides. What's your take on it?
I think it's a nuanced issue. Number one, if we're being truthful, we do not have great representation in STEM right now, period. We have suffered from a lot of BS degrees and people getting financial aid for such degrees. We've undervalued STEM. We have undervalued STEM almost going back to JFK, because the space race was the last gasp, and that lasted for a while, of people wanting to be engineers, people wanting to be scientists, etc., and training here. We've deprioritized that culturally here in the United States, and to make up that gap, we've imported other workers from other countries. It's like, okay, well, we're going to get their doctors, we're getting this, we're getting that. Now there's a lot of problems though, because like the H-1B visas, the people coming in aren't only being hired because they have a particular skill set, but also because they can get trapped into a company because their visa is tied to that company. So Apple can say, okay, I'm going to hire a bunch of engineers from, say, India, and India came up, right? And Google, you can't poach them from us. So we can underpay the market value.
It's like indentured servitude, Eric.
It's really close to it. So the problems are here where we need to import the workers. I think everybody would agree. But we also have to prioritize our own education. And I feel like maybe we need to rejigger scholarships and things like that and say, hey, you know what? We're going to do more scholarships for STEM, fewer scholarships for Latin studies or whatever you have.
The San Francisco study, which was 10 years, I don't know if you have the article, it's 10 years long, to prove that African Americans were equal to Asians and whites in math, has now been concluded into a dismal, laughable failure. What they did was they took 8th graders and gave everyone 7th grade math to make everybody equal. They gave them the math of the year before that they are in the grade. They did this for 10 years. And the black math skills just this is the article here. Yeah. 10-year experiment proves blacks are brilliant at math, fails miserably. Just an incredible social experiment up in the communist San Francisco region. And it just failed. It's not their thing. As they went lower and lower, and they went lower and lower. And what happened? When you went to the next grade, in other words, if you had Asians and whites doing 8th grade math, you know what happens when they had to do 7th grade math? They got 100 on every single test. Because you're now you're also now raising their scores by lowering the curriculum to the year before. So every grade less, they just did 100 on every single test. And blacks were getting 65, 69, 70. So it was an absurd 10-year social experiment.
Yeah. But meanwhile, in New York, a counterpoint to that, sadly, is the was it not magnet schools, but is it magnet schools?
Yeah, they kind of are magnet school. I mean, Brooklyn Tech is a magnet school. Bronx High School of Science is a magnet. Even the Fame School that the movie was based on is a magnet school that you have to apply to get in.
Right. Well, those have proven incredibly successful, especially
well, that's
for
why
minorities.
What's name was
shut them down
that
immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
those unions are saying screw them. So it's not a
Maud Maron was the one fighting against the shutting down of the test. In other words, you got to take a test. A public school, you got to take a test to get in these. Under de Blasio, they said, woke-wise, there's no more test anyone could get in, thereby destroying the actual schools. They would just be another building with students. That would be the end of it. Maud Maron, who's running for district attorney, who I reached out to, like he would hear me, to Elon Musk on Twitter that he could fund her campaign. A lot of people on Twitter, by the way, funding Maud Maron's campaign immediately as soon as I put
charter schools. That's
charter schools. Charter schools? No.
That's what I was talking about. But anyway.
Oh, you're talking about charter schools is a different issue.
And that's why I'm glad.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, locals corrected me on that. It is charter schools, and they've proven to be incredibly successful, especially in minority communities.
Yes, absolutely.
And thus proving it's not a race thing. It's a methodology in teaching the people in a good way. So of course the unions have come in and tried to shut them down.
Oh yeah,
like
the teachers union. It's their arch nemesis is private schools in general, but charter schools would be for the great unwashed. Private schools are for the elites. In the middle, for years, parents would send their kids to Catholic school just to get out of the public school, even if they weren't Catholic, for Christ's sakes. And then these other schools, the schools I was talking about were magnet schools that Maud Maron has been fighting to keep as elite schools. That's a separate issue. But you're talking about charter schools. Absolutely correct. And there's been this battle. Maud Maron, the sane Maron. That's funny. That's very funny. Yeah, Mark, not so sane. My favorite story is Mark Maron getting Obama in there the same day that Bill Maher donated $2 million to the campaign because it was on a Friday, and Mark Maron's garage where he does is really close to where I am, as is Bill Maher's studio, which the Radford CBS studio, which is on Beverly, which is where he does the show. That's pretty close by too. But it was on a Friday, and I just digress here. But Bill Maher donated $2 million out of his own pocket, and Obama said, "Screw you! I'm going to this white dude's garage." And he did the show with Mark Maron. It was the greatest moment in Mark Maron's career, obviously.
Yeah, especially when he's the first podcaster to have a sitting president. Attend it.
Well, I mean, she said her two first cousins are related to him or something. I didn't understand the bloodline, but they are.
Yeah,
related.
I think it's her father's cousin.
Yeah.
So their second cousin or something like that.
But regardless, if Elon Musk can get wind of this woman's campaign, and I don't know how to reach him other than to put up a bat signal, he could write a check and end this Alvin Bragg thing in 1 hour. You know what I mean, Eric?
Mm-hmm.
By putting his money where he says he wants to put it. Here is a primary. Here is New York. Here is June 25th coming up, the Democratic primary. Whoever wins the Democratic primary in New York is essentially the district attorney because of the lack of Republicans. This is where he's got to have the rubber meet the road. This is an example where he could be George Soros in a good way.
He could, and the thing about Elon, notwithstanding the moment with his battle with Laura Loomer and all that, is not just a donation, but he can tweet out and get support like crazy. His influence is incalculable.
Yeah. She, obviously she lives in Manhattan herself, and so does Alvin Bragg. But Bragg is going to milk this Mangione trial for all it's worth to get reelected, Eric, in the fall. Once he gets past this primary, she's the only one on the ballot as I speak right now. Is Maud Maron?
So is she running against him in the primary as a Democrat? Then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
That's right.
So she's trying to do the AOC.
I don't know about the AOC, but
well, AOC ran against a long-seated Democrat representative, but because he's just been there for so long and just reelected, it was always just a moot point. He actually ran a campaign and snuck it out in the primary, and then suddenly he was gone, and we have AOC now.
Well, the difference between this is Alvin Bragg, as far as we know, is still being funded by George Soros. He has not had his financial legs cut out from under him like George Gascon did here in Los Angeles. Nate Hochman ran in the primary and ended up being the #1 in a stacked primary. He came out first and then ran against Gascon in the actual election and ran as an independent, I think. But nevertheless, this primary, June 25th, will determine who the district attorney is one way or another because of the structure of New York.
Okay, I got a super chat here from David March saying, Mark, you need to reach out to Rich Barris. He has the ability to speak directly to Trump and Trump world to get a message to Elon. He has Don Jr.'s number. So, man,
All right.
Oh, well, we'll try. We'll reach out to Rich. I don't know if he can or not.
Hey, this is Rich. Who's this? Is this Don Jr.? Listen, you piece of shit. I got what? No, I got your number. It was in the room. Yeah. Now, what's going on with this thing you were just talking about with the feud between Vivek and Musk? Who is the feud?
Okay,
guys?
the feud is between Elon Musk and Vivek are both in favor of H-1Bs, etc., because they're both in the tech world. Laura Loomer is completely against them. Ann Coulter is against them. And there's a complete split right now. And sadly, a lot of really ugly language and things like that are coming out. You know,
weird.
You do know that there is an alt-right contingent that's looming around MAGA at times. We've talked about it.
I don't know anything about it. I just got here.
Okay, well,
I just got here, so
let's just say the alt-right doesn't necessarily like the Jews, for example.
Well, that I heard. Yeah, that don't say Jews. Now they're going to go crazy because you mentioned that word.
Okay,
isn't there a YouTube word that we can use instead of that?
Juden?
Hunley, that's not going to cut it either.
I'm not as capable. I don't know the little hat people.
No, I do. The people from the USS Liberty, the members of the ship.
No, I probably don't want to do that one.
I thought Barnes answered that Sunday. By the way, went in on Locals when they moved over to Locals at the end of the show. He did like a 20-minute explanation. I mean, he went on and on and on, Barnes, for 20 minutes explaining the USS Liberty. So I just refer anybody now to that Barnes explanation. He also did a bourbon with Barnes.
He did a hush hush on it, and I
don't know what more the guy could do. I don't get involved because I look at them as Holocaust deniers, so I don't get involved in this debate. But Barnes, holy crap, did he go deep on this one?
Yeah. Anyway, the alt-right, there's some really tough language that's coming out of it.
Basically, you're saying this is anti-immigration fervor.
Yes.
If I could sum it up quickly, it's
very much so. Yeah. Okay. And it's all immigration. I think there are some people who are just like, they hate all immigration. I understand a lot of it because the immigration needs to be fixed. Obviously, you have the illegals. I think 100%, we all agree, illegal immigration. We need to stop that. We need to shore that up. Legal immigration, now there's a fight over that going on. Elon, Vivek, both are from Silicon Valley world. Both are from the area where they're recruiting engineers and things like that.
I got you.
They're for it.
I got you.
Others are saying, "Oh hell no!" And
I got you.
Just train us.
I'm going to make a ruling. I see where you're going. This is something that was ill-timed by Vivek and Musk. This should have been discussed months later. There is no point in bringing this up right now. That's my ruling on this thing. This is way too early to be talking about this stuff.
Well, true. And by the way, this is
Mike Johnson might not survive enough to confirm the election, let alone talking about visas. I mean, it's just bad timing. They're just amateur politicians, to be blunt. These guys are amateur, good-willed, good intentioned, but they don't have the skills on how to deal with these volatile subjects, nor the right time or the place is not Christmas when you're not even in office yet to start talking about these incredible explosive issues that are so in the weeds as to cause dissension while the Democrats are licking their chops going, yeah, keep fighting. This is great.
Exactly.
They're both schmucks for bringing it up. It never should have been brought up. And there's so much more to focus on, like finding a Speaker of the House who can confirm the goddamn election, for Christ's sakes.
That's going to be difficult. Really quickly, I did want to share this chart. I don't know if you saw this going around, but this is a nice chart showing exactly how racist we are in this country. Notice the bottom wage earners here.
Oh, it's so sad. That's us.
Yeah. So you can see that the median U.S. household income by selective ancestry groups is 2019. You have, in order, Indian, Taiwanese, Filipino, Indonesian, Pakistani, Iranian, Lebanese, Chinese, Japanese, Turkish, Israeli, Korean, Syrian, and Vietnamese. Oh, and then whites. It's
is this immigrants or just people who are already here?
Ancestry groups. Most of these
okay. Well, this is not related to the immigrant story, or is this? Or
no, it's not.
It's not a visa story. I'm saying.
I don't believe so. No, I think these are all residents at this point.
All right.
But
so this is just an ethnic economic story you're here. Right. Okay. Yeah.
And I think Nigerians are also way up there too. I don't see them on that.
Well, list, I know Jamaican blacks make like 3 times the amount of money as African Americans. So that's not about skin color either. As do Africans from Africa make twice.
I know it's hard when you say African American when you have somebody from Nigeria and who moved here and their family. That's an African American, or Elon Musk is an African American.
I think they should be called African Americans. I think that should be changed. It should be African Americans, AAA. How about that for an answer?
Okay.
Just to delineate. I don't know. I mean, because you're right. It is confusing. You're absolutely right.
And also, and anyone of Caribbean descent, they're called African Americans because they're from Haiti.
Well, that's not necessarily true. There was a guy. Who was this guy? It's a baseball player. I forget his name. Oh, fuck. And he famously said that the amount of African Americans in baseball has declined since the 70s to where it's about 8% or 7%. And they said, well, if you count people of color, it's like 40%. And he famously said they don't count. I'm just talking about black African Americans. And everybody was like, whoa, we didn't see that coming. Because most people were counting anyone black in baseball, but he drove a stake through that saying you have to be African American to get on his special list.
Don't you love when everybody parses it down to the
this guy parsed it so far down, and there was a debate. It's about 15 years ago. I forget who it was. A center fielder, black, I want to say Cincinnati or the Twins. Someone in the chat may remember who it was. Pretty famous ball player. Anyway, I think it was a center fielder. It was for the Twins. Anyway, he famously went in to delineate the ethnicity of the people of color as to not have them count. There was a high point in the 70s of African Americans in baseball. It has since declined massively with the rise of the NBA. And the NBA now famously has a complete collapse of their audience. Of the 3 major sports, just to take this out for a second, only one of the 3 has gone worldwide and has become global, and that's basketball. And basketball, and they've gone to China. China provides money for broadcasting to the NBA channels, Eric. So they have kissed China's ass for 15 years. They become a global sport. The other 2 sports are not played anywhere in the world other than a couple of places. I mean, there's no football team in Africa.
But in Europe, though, the football is they're playing in Italy and stuff now for football, which surprises me.
Games. Those are special games. They're special games. There's a couple of teams that play baseball in Korea and obviously in Japan. But nevertheless, basketball is worldwide. Basketball is every country on the earth. And now nobody could watch the game. It's kind of spectacular because you have coaches that have press conference after the game denouncing Donald Trump in long diatribes of wokeism that baseball and football do not do. And the proof is now in the pudding. 48% collapse of basketball viewership, where LeBron James the other night in the locker room said, we have to do something to fix this game. It's completely collapsing. It's their own wokeism that has collapsed this game. And ironically, it is a globalist agenda that basketball took under. That should be examined in sports and globalism when the dust settles, just to get off on this side issue. Sorry.
No, I mean, that's fine. I thought that the whole NFL in Europe, I was like, who cares? I mean, Europe has another football. It's called soccer here.
Right. No, I'm saying
so
these
like,
are inherent. The three big American sports, of the three, only one has gone global. And they have suffered because of their globalization. They cannot say F you to China, for instance. They back China 100%. They have sneaker deals with China. They have all kinds of entanglements with China. The NFL doesn't have that. Baseball doesn't have that. These guys do. And ironically, the American people have voted with their eyeballs, Hunley, and have stopped watching all things NBA. Fascinating social event.
Well, and you know what's weird about that too is you have the WNBA, which one player, Caitlin Clark, I think is her name, was carrying, but now she's trying to kiss the woke ring, and she built up an audience also for a year, so it's going to really doubly collapse.
It's going to collapse also. And I wish them the worst. I really do. They have taken this woke thing and tried to take over the sport world. They almost got the NFL, Eric. They almost got him, but with the
Kaepernick
knee and
got stopped.
Right. And they said, you know what? It's over. It's over. And to the benefit of the NFL. Baseball never went there. Is
this because of the owners? Because I get
no.
I meant in NFL.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the owners were like, let him mouth off all he wants. I'm not going to put him on my damn team. And so he got froze out.
It was bigger than him. It was bigger than Colin Kaepernick, this story, but that's where it started. And they never drove a stake into it to end it. And it spread like Marxist wildfire to the rest of the league. They didn't have the courage to fight back, and it never took hold in the Major League Baseball. And it really completely kind of has gone away in the NFL now. I mean, they're singing the national anthem. They're standing up. They're putting their hands on their hearts. All of that shit.
Because the owners, from what I saw, the NFL owner said, no, get your ass up there. You put this here or we'll fire you. And they stood strong.
Oh, the only way the NBA is going to change is from the owners. Yeah, I mean, people in the stands are disappearing now,
Yeah, no, I'm good. I wish them ill as well. All right. Speaking of people who are sick, we've talked about the merchandise, assassin merchandise. This is one time a copyright claim I think is good.
Yeah, I don't understand who has the copyright to this.
I'm not really sure on that.
Yeah, I read it. I don't understand what the copyright claim actually is.
I think it's multiple things, because if people are like extrapolating him as something else, the people holding that initial thing are saying, oh, hell no. And
unless they copied somebody's art style, like what's his name did with the Obama poster during his campaign. I forget the guy's name. No. It was somebody here who copied this Obama style of the poster, and it was a copyright infringement case. If you copy the look of something, it could be copyright infringement too. But that being said, that perp walk, somebody was covering the perp walk the other day, how long it was for him. And his lawyer, to her credit, a lot of cops agreed that this was this insane, parade, that when he got to court, they were cheering for him. I don't know if you saw SNL on Saturday night when they did Weekend Update. The entire audience cheered at the mention of his name on NBC live television. Yeah, I mean, even the host had to say something. The guy whoever that guy was doing the weekend news for SNL, even he had to criticize them. But holy cow.
Well, and as far as the long perp walk goes, that is wrong no matter what. I'm not saying celebrate. I'm just saying this is a high profile individual. The longer you are walking him, the more opportunities for him to be shot, for cops to be shot, for something to occur. I mean, you want it to be short and reasonable just for security's sakes, for God's sake. It's not a public
That's a fact
spectacle.
of it. Most people are focusing on the fact that the mayor was walking in back of them, that it was like a mile long, walking inch by inch, like a funeral procession. It was absurd.
A spectacle.
It was a spectacle. That's the word I'm looking for. It was a spectacle. Thank you. And not only that, one of these cops, retired lieutenants, who was on TV, said, "This is going to taint the jury pool. That's what you're doing here. You're now giving the jury pool something to feel sorry about this guy being used as a symbol by the NYPD and the mayor and paraded like he's some sort of a freak." He was right too. The lieutenant was correct also.
And it's also feeding into his ego.
Yeah.
I mean, because now he's messianic, to these weirdos.
Well, he's gotten so many letters and so many prison wives already that they're already sending him emails and everything else. And, I assume that he's going to be able to look at his own social media with the lawyer, and letters and stuff. So these will get through, and they are some girls who are madly in love with him, Eric.
Yeah, Bristol Files.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an actual thing, and very, very weird. Very weird. And Amanda Jean, yes, good question. Why are assassins always young men, early to mid-20s? Because of that. A lot of this is glory, and things like that. That's why I'm kind of a believer in not publishing school shooter names, because when their name gets out there, that's it. They get this quote glory, and I take that off the table.
He was sitting at the table manacled, and four police prison guards were standing, hovering over him, glaring down at him. I don't know if you have that image. It is one of the most bizarre images I've ever seen in a courtroom, as if he's going to make a bolt. He's going to bolt and grab a weapon or something. The four of them are standing right in back of him, glaring down like he was an evil animal. And he's sitting there, entering a plea, wearing a sweater and a shirt, and he's manacled at the feet and the hands, and they're hovering over him. You want to talk about tainting the jury pool? Mm-hmm. Holy crap. I mean, the lawyer's going to have a field day with this, Eric. She's no amateur.
Yeah, well, fortunately, this wasn't in front of a jury because
no, but I mean, it was broadcast. It was broadcast.
No,
yeah. So just tainting the pool I think is what they were referring to.
I think it's going to be difficult to get a jury anyway. They may need to delay the trial a while. That's one thing about a long time before a trial does help tone down.
Well, how do you get someone who hates healthcare? How do you get someone in that jury pool when they ask them, have any of your family members ever had a problem? I mean, the number one question, have any of your family members ever had a problem with a healthcare company? Everybody puts up their hand. Are you eliminated from that jury? Or they say, can you make a fair decision? Oh yeah, I can make a fair decision. I hate healthcare companies. I'm glad this guy's dead. But let's see how this trial goes. Maybe I could change my mind.
I don't know. This is where I wish I could talk to Norm Pattis about that. Like, how would you go about questioning the jury or whatever? Because he's defended some really, really hated people and stuff like
according to Barnes, I mean, you have to weed them out and do a jury pool selection and have these profiles and go into their social media, find out if they had a loved one who was it's an immense amount of work. Find out they had a loved one who was cut off from healthcare. I mean, look, everyone has healthcare. Everyone, for the most part, hates the insurance companies. How do you get a jury that is unbiased towards the CEO who is in charge of this thing, of the biggest healthcare company in the country, in the country, Eric?
I don't know, but but you have the other side of it, that if you eliminate anybody, whoever has ever had anything to do with healthcare, you're going to be stuck with a very narrow band of people who are so authority oriented, most likely, that will it be a fair trial there? I don't know. I don't think it's going to be an easy case either way.
Well, the reason I mention this is it's Alvin Bragg's case. Alvin Bragg is going to have to go into court now and go up against this woman who is the best attorney in New York. From what everybody tells me, she's the top criminal attorney in the city. Used to be in the DA's office years ago, and her husband is the other top lawyer. He's defending Diddy, for Christ's sakes. This is going to be some sort of battle royale. And then you've got this Eileen Cannon case with the Trump potential assassin down in Florida, Eric, that got pushed back till next year, till September, October, November, for discovery reasons, I guess.
Which I don't necessarily mind. You know, if the defense is going along with it too, why not? Because there are a lot of questionable deep state, ties and things like that hopefully they can unravel. The longer it goes out.
She did ask, which we talked about last week, she did ask the defense, will they be seeking an insanity defense? Okay. And if so, she needs to know for scheduling purposes. She said that yesterday. So it's funny. We were just talking about that. And I don't know what the answer was.
The Ryan Ruth or the
Ruth? No, Ruth. The Ruth one. Yeah, the Ryan Ruth being insane. Yeah. So I don't think they responded, but that's how she left it yesterday or the day before when she delayed it. And if it's an insanity defense, like we said, she's going to schedule it accordingly. And then she says, well, how many experts are you going to bring in? But by the way, somebody put up this thing about Sirhan related to what's his face?
Jolly West.
About Jolly West. And it's like, if you go into the literature, they were saying he was connected to Sirhan. And I've never seen a connection to Sirhan. And in this article, it says that he was examined Sirhan and he was not at the trial, which of course is true. And the fact of the matter is none of it was true. And when I traced it back, it came from a Scientology article from one of their magazines because their arch nemesis is Jolly West. So they threw in the Sirhan thing. And every time you do Copilot, or which I tried, it came out the same way. The only article that comes up is from the Scientology magazine about Jolly West.
How about Timothy McVeigh? He was also on that list.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about.
And I'm Timothy not going to. And it's possible because Jolly West did work in Oklahoma.
I have no idea.
But I don't know
Jack Ruby and I know Patty Hearst and those two trials. He was involved in those. The others, definitely not Sirhan. Definitely not Sirhan. I'll tell you something else. What's his name called me up, Tom O'Neill, and he wanted me to find out where I got the information from about Brian, the psychiatrist, MKUltra guy who was the pre-Jolly West. He was a guy before Jolly West who indeed was linked to Sirhan. This is William Joseph Bryan, the hypnotist guy. Yeah, this guy here wrote the book The Chosen Ones, The Art of Jury Selection, William Joseph Bryan Jr. He was a guy who was a hypnotist and was involved with Sirhan. And that's what I'm saying. People put up this stuff, and if you trace back the sources, which I strongly urge people to do, they dissipate a lot of times.
Well, Brian is interesting too because he's got a real MKUltra vibe.
It's not just a vibe. He was the guy. He legitimately was the guy who deprogrammed the POWs who came back from South Korea, North Korea, and everything else. And what's his name? The guy
did he work with Lifton?
No, he did not. The
guy Lifton I did deprogramming as well.
Right, but this guy, when I was talking to Tom O'Neill, he said, what is your evidence to this? And I said, what is your evidence of Jolly West being with Sirhan? And he's coming out with a book, according to him, of Sirhan related to Jolly West. And I'm saying, good luck on that, because I told him I've never found anything. And he goes, I talked to his sister. I go, I don't know, you talk to whoever you want. I'm just saying, I've never seen a connection between Sirhan and Jolly West. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I'm just saying in my research, I've never seen it. God bless O'Neill. But that's a tough slog.
I got to talk to John Atak about that because he knew Jolly West and
Right. Now,
in
Sirhan
computer.
was hypnotized by a couple of other psychiatrists, and they did go into the prison and they did hypnotize him post-assassination. And that's pretty well documented by those people because there's prison records. But I've never seen a record of Jolly West. There is records of Jolly West going into Jack Ruby's jail cell. So I don't know why this would be different regarding Sirhan when a lot of people are on the record visiting Sirhan and hypnotizing him in his jail cell. Just saying.
I'm not sure. I mean, there are a lot of things that just get put out like it's just fact.
Yeah, that's why
just like everybody knows.
Yeah, somebody put it on my Twitter feed, and I said I got to write something about this. This is, people just put out these phony facts, and it just sits out there.
Yeah, and it's very, very frustrating.
Yeah,
as we know from our comments too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is we were going to talk about this on Tuesday, but didn't quite come up right.
Yeah, what is going on up there, Eric?
I just can't wait. I hope to hell that the military, the leadership gets cleaned up, because then that can help clean up down the line. We've got a lot of crazy ass mistakes. You've got this right here, but then what about that? I think it was a master chief in the Navy who got Starlink put in a satellite antenna so she could watch like soap operas or whatever on a U.S. naval ship, for God's sake. So there's some really, really
they look at this as employment. They don't look at this as war. Trump's going to have this trickle down where they're war ready. I mean, they've taken a 4-year vacation. Essentially, they've taken a 4-year vacation, floating around the world, having a good time on board these ships. And you know what? The party's over, Eric. The party's over.
I hope so. He's got to get the right people. Again, you got to change up that top tier of leadership. And then
he's, Greg Kelly says he's got to get rid of the head of the Air Force, that Joint Chiefs of Staff guy, the black dude, who is another woke, knee-bending, ring-kissing wokester. And Trump, was seen with him at the Army-Navy game. And the guy was brown-nosing Trump, and he did have a brown nose, but that's not what I meant. He was doing stuff with Trump, trying to save his job as the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He has got to go. That guy has got to go. His day is over.
Yes, it's time to retire. We've got new people coming in. Time to retire.
Well, can Hegseth get rid of the Joint Chiefs, or is that a presidential hire fire only? I don't remember.
Truman fired MacArthur famously. So I'm
saying, can the head of the Secretary of Defense fire him? I don't think so.
No, I think that's a direct report to the president, who works with the Secretary of Defense.
Trump's got to fire him. I mean, he's fired other generals. It shouldn't be a problem for Trump.
But either way, even somebody who works for the SecDev, Trump can fire. He can say, you fire your person or I'll fire you both.
Right. Well, he could fire anybody. I'm just saying, I'm wondering if the Secretary of Defense could fire someone who's in the Joint Chiefs.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think that's a direct line of command.
Yeah.
But all right, we had I pulled this one up. I thought we might want to talk over. It's kind of a sad end of the year story, but it's going on. All these national chains are just shutting down.
Yeah. What is that?
We have several of them. We've got a list of different ones, and Macy's isn't even on this. Macy's is shutting down multiple stores, like 35, and they were already down. But we've got Advance Auto Parts.
Oh, Big Lots. Yeah, I've gone to Big Lots.
Yep, American Freight.
Big Lots. Baby. Big Lots I've used. Yeah, it's like
I don't know Bye Bye Baby for some reason.
I never heard of Bye Bye Baby, but Bye Bye Baby.
Bye Bye, yeah. CVS is closing a ton of stores.
Does that say Denny's?
Denny's is closing 150
Nobody loves Denny's
stores.
more than me.
Well, I mean, isn't that...
You know what? There may have been too many Denny's. Just off the anecdotally, they seem to be a lot of Denny's.
I don't know, but one thing I remember about Denny's is every time I went there late at night, there was always like a cluster of people smoking outside, and people were saying it was people after an AA meeting. Is that possible?
Anything's possible. But if you tell us down below which one of these in the comment section you have gone to or know about, because a lot of these are regional. If you comment in the comment section, we can see what region you're from. Like Party City. Has anybody gone to Party City? I was just in one for that meetup we did in Boca. I went into a Party City and bought all that stuff, and there was nobody in there. It was a ghost town. It was a Friday night, or whenever we went in there, Friday afternoon. And I said, this place is not going to last. But look at this list, people, and put in the comment section which ones you've gone to in your area, and tell us what your experience is.
I mean, Family Dollar, dude.
Yeah, I like Family Dollar.
Yeah, and also some Dollar Tree locations as well.
Okay, I've never gone to Red Lobster. Is this a thing? I mean, I know they spent a fortune on advertising Red Lobster, but I've never gone.
Well, you're jumping ahead. Joanne's.
Oh no, I'm sorry. What are you up to right now?
Well, we're on Joanne. You skipped down. Okay,
what's Joanne? What is Joanne?
Joanne Fabrics, and like all kinds of sewing and stuff like that. And I know we have people in the audience who do crafts.
I've seen that. You know,
and Leslie's gone there to get materials.
Okay.
And
all right,
that's a big one. Anyway, Party City. Now, Red Lobster. Red Lobster is a place where non-seafood oriented people get a chance to eat it. Like in Tucson, Red Lobster is popular because it's not exactly a bastion of seafood. People could get it there. They got new ownership a few years back. Those owners were idiots, and they said, we're going to do endless shrimp. And they always did endless shrimp as a short campaign. So it'd be like, 3 weeks of endless shrimp, or whatever to get people in there.
Yeah.
This was like permanent endless shrimp.
What?
And it just screwed them over super hard. But there's more to it.
Shrimp, that's crazy.
Well, there was worse than that. Have you ever seen The Founder about McDonald's?
The Founder?
Yeah, Michael Keaton was in it. It's a good movie. It's about the
I have seen it. Yeah, I didn't know that was the name. Yeah.
Well, very famously in that he discovered that McDonald's was not a burger chain; it was a real estate chain. And what happened with Red Lobster 2 is the people bought them out, forced all the Red Lobsters to pay exorbitant lease arrangements on the property that they were on. So it was a combination of the endless rent and then jacked up property expenses that they could not handle.
Fascinating.
So
anyway, I have noticed that Denny's prices have gone.
Oh, all restaurants.
Right. But the Denny's in particular, when I go out of town, I always go to a Denny's for breakfast. And that has literally doubled in a couple of years since COVID. Eric, they have doubled their prices.
Well, they had to. I mean,
I'm not saying they shouldn't. I mean,
it's horrible.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I was up in one, where was this? It was in Arizona, up by the Grand Canyon, and that's that town up there, that college town. And I was in shock. I left. I had Denny's. It was $50 by myself. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, dude. Even McDonald's is like $12 for just a meal deal.
Yeah,
or whatever.
It's insane.
All right, so we got Rue 21. I'm not familiar with them.
Okay.
So, if you know Rue 21,
if
let
you
us
put
know.
that in the comment section, if you've ever had an experience there, tell us what it was like for you in that store. Like, what is your take on it? Did they look like it was misrun or something?
Yep. TGI Fridays.
Oh,
that's a big one.
Even in Manhattan, they've got those. I mean, I've gone to parties there where you have office parties in there. By the way, there's a movie called Christmas Office Party with Jason Bateman and TJ Miller and what's her name from Friends, Jennifer Aniston. Absolutely hysterical movie if anybody gets a chance to see it. Absolutely funny as hell. A lot of SNL
Miller.
people. TJ Miller is
Silicon Valley.
What Silicon Valley banned for some Me Too thing he did in college. Somebody should get a pardon for TJ Miller, who's a comic genius, and get this guy out of purgatory already. Holy crap, is he funny and great?
Well, he also Seth
Rogen or Seth
Rogen's buddy.
Yeah.
is in Me Too Purgatory, right? The one.
Oh
who did
yeah,
the-
no. There's still guys out there. He played Jennifer Aniston and him play brother and sister, and they inherited these investment companies from their father, and he runs one in Chicago, and she's the CEO of all of them, and he was just given this one, and she's coming to close it down, and they decide to have a big Christmas party to convince Courtney B. Vance, a black executive, to that they're trying to sell him to buy into their company, into their widget company, whatever it is. And they decide to put on the biggest Christmas party in Chicago history. And dude, this has a lot of money behind it, this movie. I never heard of it. Jason Bateman is great. There's a bunch of SNL alums in there, and it really works. It really worked. Great movie.
Awesome.
I saw the one you recommended, which was fantastic, Eric.
Oh, Red One. Yeah.
Fantastic movie.
It was a ton of fun.
Wow, was that great? With J.K. Simmons and The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And holy cow, that was highly entertaining.
Yeah, it was surprising. I was like,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Surprising
You know what?
as hell.
Kurt Russell did one, The Christmas Chronicles, like 3 years ago, that I thought was very good. It was the sequel, not so much. But the first one, I thought that was fun. But yeah, no, the Red One surprised me. It's like,
what a big budget. I mean, that thing looks like $150 million.
I think the writer is a Kasdan.
It was Jay Kasdan. Yeah, Lawrence Kasdan's son. Yeah, writer director. Yeah.
Well, and he's a solid dude, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. But it's still a Nepo baby.
Okay. All right. Let me see. True Value is entering in a sales agreement with Do It Best in October after filing Chapter 11.
That's the hardware store.
Yeah. True Value Hardware.
God, wow.
Walgreens.
Oh,
so CVS and Walgreens. Walgreens is closing 500 stores.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just spooky. Especially you're like, okay, so where are we getting the pharmaceuticals? And right now Amazon's just going, yep, we're just standing by to suck all the business of everybody shutting down.
RFK Jr. gets rid of those TV pharmaceutical ads, this is going to be the biggest change in American culture in decades. In a positive way, Eric.
I agree.
Holy
Wendy's,
crap.
Dude.
Wendy's. They're the ones
shutting down 140.
Do they have square hamburgers? Is that the one with the square ones? All right. Put your comments down below whether you like Wendy's or not.
I don't. But
I don't.
Anyway,
no, I don't either. Oh, Wendy's is W. So we're getting to the end there. I see your.
That was it. But I just thought that was something that, I mean, it's kind of sad.
I agree. Maybe they just barely hung on for years and they just couldn't make it anymore.
Maybe, but there is a possible bright spot. Do you remember when all those giant bookstore chains came in, and it was the whole premise of the movie, You've Got Mail, the Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan movie.
Yeah.
The big bookstore chain came in. Well, all those chains shut down except for Barnes and Noble, and a lot of independent booksellers either survived or they came back up. So it's possible, and maybe I'm dreaming, but we might get some actually locally owned retail that maybe could fill the gap from all these chains that are shutting down. So,
well, there seems to be an opening in downtown LA. There was a hotel on fire that was actually a building that was converted to the homeless eventually, but the squatters were in there setting it on fire. So the entire thing burned to the ground last night here in LA. It was taken over by the AIDS Foundation. They wanted to make it 150 low-income apartments, but apparently the low incomes moved in way before the building was finished, and they kept showing up, according to the fire department, with power tools to cut the locks every time they put a lock on it. This is what happened last night. This is a famous Morrison hotel that was the name of the album, which on the cover, Morrison and the Doors appear in the window of the bar. Thanks to the homeless squatters, that is no more. So you could put that one on the next list of homelessness gone wild, my new TV show.
So, okay, was this I don't know if I would say legitimate fire, or it's not like an insurance fire?
No, right. No. They actually, which was legit, also that went illegit, was the city loaned a developer hundreds of millions of dollars to develop the property for the homeless to have apartments. He went belly up on his loan 4 years ago. Then they gave it to the AIDS Foundation, and the AIDS Foundation was involved in attempting to renovate these things into apartments for the homeless. However, the homeless already moved into the building and were squatting. And they were removed a bunch of times. And this was a meth fire, gone bad. This was them trying to stay warm at night.
Okay.
Yeah, these are squatters. But
All
the
right.
point is, this is where the Doors made the famous album cover shot by the legendary Henry Diltz, who I met a couple of times. He has shot every rock and roll cover.
Was it the last album?
I think close to it. It was the last legitimate album. Yeah, he was dead within a number of months later. Yeah, it was the last studio album with him working on it.
Well, I mean, that's what I meant. I thought that because I think it was L.A. Woman and then
Morrison Hotel was his last album. Yeah.
Okay. That's a band I always liked.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this story's just sick, so I'll let you tell it.
I don't even know what to make of this thing. First of all, the headline's a little deceiving because it's a restaurant in Vietnam. So it's not a restaurant in the United States.
That was the first thing I wondered.
Right, Eric? I mean, you look at it, and then he serves dog. The guy ate some of the dog meat. And then he got rabies because the dog had rabies, so he died. I don't know if this goes back to the, what's his name? Used to be the food critic on CNN. Who?
Oh, God. You're making me think of the guy who
was with
took
Obama.
His own life.
Yeah, he was with Obama in Vietnam, eating all these weird delicacies, including this. I think he was in this restaurant. People in the chat know who he is. I think he took
Bourdain.
Andrew
Bourdain,
who was obviously a spook.
Anthony Bourdain,
who was obviously a spook and spook connected or spook adjacent. He was rolling around with Obama for a number of years. And then famously things happened to him. It went bad. But there's a famous episode where he eats in a Vietnamese restaurant odd delicacies like this.
That and I think there's a rumor, I don't know if it's true, that he shall we say practice or inadvertently or intentionally did cannibalism.
Bourdain?
Yeah, like
I never heard that. I wouldn't put it past him. He seems like that kind of guy. Yeah, he was famous for, I'll just tell you this. He was famous for quitting heroin and claiming that he was clean and then drinking around the clock until he was a complete alcoholic. He just switched drugs and went from heroin to alcohol. And then at the end, did Harry Carey to himself.
Isn't that, okay, not necessarily heroin, but isn't that kind of Jim Morrison's fate? Was he?
Yeah, a lot of people, yeah.
Okay.
They switch drugs thinking it's going to be better. And a lot of heroin addicts do that. Alcoholics will switch to weed. Heroin addicts will switch to alcohol, but then it progresses so fast and so crazily that there's other side effects from those other drugs that they're not even used to.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. We call it switching chairs on the deck of the Titanic. There's a phrase for it in recovery.
Yeah, that's a good term for it. I don't remember where I heard it. It might have been in No One Here Gets Out Alive or, whatever, which is really a great book about Jim Morrison, The Doors, if anybody's interested in that.
Yeah.
That was it. It's sex, drug, and rock and roll. Then it's drugs and rock and roll. And then it's just drugs. And then
we say it's fun.
booze.
We say it's fun, then fun with problems, then just problems.
Okay. That works.
You like that one?
Yep. Somebody said that was Bon Scott. Okay, maybe another person who passed away.
No One Here Gets Out Alive is a good book.
Yes.
Which?
You haven't heard of that one? Danny Sugarman, I think.
No, I knew Sugarman very well. That's why I'm saying it. He's an old friend, and he's dead now, unfortunately, for Sugarman. And his girl, we could just do a whole thing with Sugarman, but remember what's her name, who was the girlfriend to Ollie North, Fawn Hall.
Oh, yeah.
She became Danny Sugarman's wife.
What?
And no, dude, I can't even go down this road. Danny Sugarman's brother, who's still alive, is the top ear, nose, and throat doctor in Beverly Hills to this day. And I knew Danny very well. But Fawn Hall
Was hot.
She became Miss, and I can't even go into the details of Fawn Hall and Danny, but
Never mind the news. Let's talk about this. This is interesting.
she was a shopaholic, and she would go out with his money and buy like a $10,000 Persian rug, and he'd have a heart attack. He'd come home and there was Fawn Hall with the rug. Just a strange couple that you would never think would ever be together. Did you see a picture of Fawn Hall, or is there any? Haven't thought about this in a long time. Danny passed away about 15 years ago.
I mean, there's pictures. I was just looking at somebody.
Are there any pictures of them together, or I haven't thought
Danny
about Danny. No, with her, Danny and her.
I'm looking. I mean, I'm just. Let me see.
What a strange Hollywood couple they were. Yeah, Sugarman starts out as the Doors office manager. Speaking about the Doors, at the age of 14, he starts on his own, starts opening for them their fan mail. He ends up being their office manager, eventually their manager, blah, 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 and was there for a lot of these Doors stories. That's what's in the book.
Come on now. Sorry, I'm trying to.
No, it's okay. I just remember the Fawn Hall part. It was just so weird. She was at his funeral, and oh man.
All right, here's pictures.
Remind me. Oh my God. Okay, I thought I was imagining this. Okay.
So that's a 91 at the Whiskey Go-Go.
Right. Right.
What happened with Sugarman?
I think he died of lung cancer or something. I forget what it was. I'd have to look it up. Hold on.
Okay.
Danny Sugarman's cause of death. Hold on.
Because he looked too young to,
Right. Hold on. Danny Sugarman, cause of death. Maybe he OD. He was a junkie. I forget what happened. Lung cancer. Yeah, lung cancer. That's what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah, which is odd because his brother, like I said, is the top ear, nose, and throat guy in Beverly Hills.
Well, I mean, that's an odd. I mean,
it's
the
really
lung cancer.
strange.
Well, but it was also odd. Christopher Reeve's wife died of lung cancer. Never smoked a cigarette in her life.
Oh yeah.
So that's one of those.
Whoa. I mean, there are people who quit, and then centuries later got lung cancer. Wow. Doug Feiger, dude, I knew Doug and I are pretty close. He got lung cancer, and he used to. He lasted a long time. They kept drilling holes in his head. He had brain cancer, but they said it was from smoking, and he had quit many years before. And his brother was like this top attorney in Detroit, who was, what the hell was his brother's name? I'm talking about Doug Feiger from the Knack, who wrote My Sharona and a bunch of other hits. Also died of cancer around the same time as Danny.
Shame. All right, so let's get back into fun conspiracy theories. And this looks like some bullshit. From Salon, so it's automatically feels like bullshit.
It's such a crazy article. I don't even wanted to get into it, but it's so crazy. It's the reverse of everything that happened, of course.
Okay.
All you have to do is you don't even have to read the article. It's the reverse of everything that happened that they did in an article saying he's going to do that. If that makes any sense to anyone,
through projection.
You've lived in this country for the last 4 years. Then, if you can understand that bizarre oddity.
Well, it dovetails nicely with this next article about the Hill and their plan
Man.
they won't quit.
They will not quit, my friend.
remember they go on and on. It's like, oh, Trump will never accept a loss. It'll never happen. It's like, well, what are you doing?
They
What are you doing
can't
right
even
now?
acknowledge that they're doing. They never acknowledge that they ever do anything that the other side did. Instead of saying like, you know, we know that they did it and we're bringing this up now, but it's more relevant for reasons that we're going to explain. They don't even acknowledge the similarity of the situation. This is two top, I want to say professors, the Columbia Law Review and the Yale
Law Journal.
Eric.
Yeah, Evan Davis and David Schulte
have come together to find a loophole to get rid of Trump, which would involve a vote of 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate to nullify his electoral college victory. Am I correct there? Is that
right? Yeah, it's the same bullshit that they've been going on about with the 14th Amendment, trying to say, remember, the Civil War people were ineligible to do it because of the quote insurrection. So
which is fine.
They're laying out that bullshit insurrection January 6th line, which has been disproven a million damn times.
Right, but it's all fine and well if you acknowledge that this is an attempt to not accept the results of the election, which they refuse to do. Yeah, they refuse to do. They, you know, you've got that Raskin statement on film that you know we're not going to accept the election results. All of this stuff, these attempts, these last minute Hail Marys, is fine, but you can't accuse the other side of doing it and not acknowledge that you're doing it. I don't know if Hunley disappeared or what, but now that he's gone, let's talk about Hunley and what we're going to do when he comes back. Because if he does come back, oh, he's back. Hold on, let's go.
All right, sorry.
Okay, never mind.
I know what happened
there. Okay, so that thing's not going to work. But what might work is the fact that Mike Johnson might not be Speaker of the House, and then he can't certify the election. If they begin to attempt to get rid of Mike Johnson, that might be, again, why
can't we wait a couple of weeks?
No, it's so disorganized. It's so disorganized and so crazy because the only one who can lead these people is not in power yet. So in other words, these are the children down below scrambling, creating more chaos before dad gets home from work. If that makes any sense.
Oh, 100%.
Because once he's in power, this disappears. Yet right now, it's complete chaos, you know, with all different things. And the Democrats are fueling it, if possible, or licking their chops when they can't get involved.
Yeah, the smart ones are just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, like, any smart Democrat right now will be like, yeah, go ahead. Oh, yeah, let's have some fun with that, Elon Musk. Yeah, let's go and do that.
We'll vote for your bill. I swear to God. Whatever you got, we'll vote for it.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we can take some degree of solace in this. I thought it was interesting. This is a professor talking about happiness of the two different parties, if you will. And it's just a quick 1-minute clip.
Okay.
Oh. There's some sound. All right.
Women are seem to be 10 years ago, you wrote, conservative women seem to be particularly blissful. About 40% say they're very happy. That makes them slightly happier than conservative men and significantly happier than liberal women.
Yeah.
The unhappiest of all are liberal men. Only about a fifth consider themselves very happy.
That was true 10 years ago. Liberal women have overtaken liberal men as the unhappiest group. You find that particularly young women, very interesting new data show that white liberal women under 30 have almost a 6 in 10 chance of having been diagnosed with a mental illness.
Oh my God.
It's a really big problem. And there's lots of speculation about what that has to do with politics, what has to do with race, what has to do with age, et cetera, et cetera. But what you find is that this is a group that's really, really struggling. And it's a pity because it's not good for them. It's not good for society. And that's what we see. So I don't think that being a political conservative is a panacea for being a happy person, but we see disproportionately these happiness and unhappiness effects in different parts of the population for sure.
Wow.
I just thought that was a very interesting clip.
Fascinating, Eric. Fascinating. I mean, for the most part, every day I wake up, I'm happy. I'm happier that we won the election, but I got to tell you, I'm not an unhappy person. but there's a lot of unhappy young leftist women, and I live in a city of them. They just look unhappy all the time. Wow, is that those numbers are really telling, Eric?
Yeah, and the mental illness aspect of it, dude. I mean, that's
wow. I mean, the fact that there are matriarchies around this country, and I think that they are dysfunctional because they are matriarchies. I mean, we have one right here. Every person on the board of supervisors, the mayor, every city council person is a woman, and the city is a matriarchy, for better or for worse. This is a social experiment going on right now. The biggest city in the country is run by about 15 women.
Somebody pointed out they're also more attractive, and I'm like, the perfect.
That is true. That is true.
The perfect example of the leftist woman, because I'm not going to say liberal, I'm going to say leftist.
Leftist, yeah.
Is Kamala's stepdaughter. It's
without
you
a doubt,
could just frame her and say, there you go. That's exactly who he's talking about.
A lot of people say that bipolar sex is the greatest, though.
Yeah, but I have a theory about that.
What is it? They let themselves go. They're loosey-goosey.
No,
they're crazy in bed.
No,
they're crazy out of bed. They're crazy in bed.
No, it's like a ride in an amusement park. It's fun for a while, but you can never get off.
That's a strange analogy, but I'll accept that.
You can't escape the park. I mean, it's like, okay, but they lock you in. All right, keep enjoying it.
Interesting. I won't say any more of my own experience, but the story is true. I'll just put it that way. I'm not alone.
All right. Well, while we're talking about that, it is the holiday season, and Biden-Harris wants to celebrate Kwanza.
It's a strange thing about Kwanza. That guy, if that's Mr. Kwanza, I think he was imprisoned for torturing his girlfriend before he invented Kwanza. Kamala Harris famously said that her and multi-generations of her relatives celebrated Kwanza going back generations, which is the craziest thing. I think it was invented in 1969, Eric, or 1970 by that guy.
66. And
66.
He was tied
Okay.
to SLA.
It was tied to the SLA, the Symbionese Liberation Army. He was in prison before that or after Kwanza? Can you see?
I don't know.
I know I remember he tortured someone, went to prison for torture. Happy holidays, happy Kwanza, everybody, from the torturer in chief.
I want to say he did it after inventing it, but let me see.
Might have been because that was so early politically. 66, the SLA doesn't really get started until a little later.
Yeah, 72 or 3.
Right. Don't forget Patty Hearst rolls with them.
Yes.
Of course, out of Oakland and this whole area up there. I mean, they are just going down so fast.
Oh, here we go. 1971 Los Angeles Times article.
Yep.
Talking to the victim. Now, she could have been interviewed years later, but I think he did the holiday and then celebrated on her
by torturing her.
Yeah.
He did a full Kwanzaa on her. But I think the key in this was that little video that you could push the button. I don't know if you can push the button, but it's her talking about the generations in her family that celebrated Kwanzaa going back generations.
Okay.
That button, yeah.
Happy holidays, everyone. I wanted to take a moment to send my warmest wishes to everyone celebrating Kwanzaa. Like so many other holidays, we will be celebrating Kwanzaa a little differently this season in our home. We'll be doing it over Zoom. My sister and I, we grew up celebrating Kwanzaa.
Really?
Every year, our family, our extended family, we would gather around across multiple generations. And we'd tell stories. The kids
Is that the
would
Hindu
sit on
version
the carpet,
or the?
and
No, I
would
mean
sit
it
in
was
chairs
invented a
and
year
we would
after
light
her
the
birth.
candles, and of course afterwards have a beautiful.
Well, no, I'm asking legitimately. Is this the Hindu side or the communist side, who is a definite atheist?
I don't know, because the holiday is started a year after she was born, so I don't know how many generations she's talking about.
Oh, that must be tied in when she said that she was that little girl that
marched with Martin Luther King.
Well, she stole the Martin Luther King story.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Beautiful meal. And of course, there was always the discussion of the 7 principles.
The 7 principles.
And my favorite, I have to tell you, was always the one about self-determination. Kujichagulia. And, you know, essentially it's about, you know, it's about be and
no, let it go. Let it roll.
Be the person you want to be and do the things you want to do and do the things that need to be done.
Be unburdened.
It's about not letting anyone write our future for us.
No.
But instead going out and writing it for ourselves.
For ourselves.
And
right.
that principle motivates me today as we seek to confront the challenges facing our country.
Which are?
And to build a brighter future for all Americans.
Thank God.
So to everyone who is celebrating, happy Kwanza from our family to yours.
This was brought to you by the Kwanza Foundation of Greater New York. Biden-Harris transition.
I like that. Transition your asses out.
Well, there's also the trans part of transition, like her daughter-in-law, whatever she is, her stepdaughter.
Is she not? I bet she's non-binary. My favorite.
Oh, no, she is non-binary. Yeah.
My absolute favorite. The ability to say that you're something without being anything. You just say, "Oh, I'm all of it."
Yeah, she's non-binary, bro. Yeah, get used to it. She's here. She's non-binary. There's nothing that rhymes with that.
Wow. All right, we just had a giant super chat drop in here
from another planet. A giant super chat from planet Mars.
From planet Cash. And it is Pirate Ken. Item for you, JFK Jr.'s fatal flight to Nantucket Island. Investigators reject pilot error for aircraft sabotage, explosives, slow Navy response, debris isolated, quick burials. JFK Jr. planned for political office. Is deep state disinfo and government cover-up at work here? Wasn't he going to run against Hillary?
Well, Pirate Ken, first of all, thank you for that incredible super chat. The amount takes my breath away, and Eric is not going to get 1 penny of that, Pirate Ken. The super chat that you just put up there, in my investigation, he was a terrible pilot. He constantly did not have enough hours on his pilot thing, but he constantly fucked up his navigational thing. He was flying upside down at one point. The girl did not want to go with him. She knew that he was a terrible pilot. He flew in inclement weather. It was off the coast. Blah, blah, blah. They did the best they could. It went down so quickly. It was a little plane. None of that makes any sense to this theory that you're projecting here because, in fact, it was pilot error, and they did find them at the bottom of the thing eventually and pulled them out. They had expired, you know, but he had lost his navigational ability. Let me just put it that way, in fog. And I think he was flying from New York to Nantucket or somewhere along that way. Nantucket. Yeah, from New York. And last minute flight, blah, blah, blah. Wasn't a veteran pilot. And this is just my opinion. You know, obviously people have their own opinion.
See, I heard that he panicked and lost the horizon. So he thought he was going up, but he's really going down.
Yes. But at one point he was flying upside down.
Right, because so he was flying upside down into the water, thinking he was
very
going up.
Inexperienced pilot, didn't have that many hours under his belt. Blah blah blah. You know, that was my takeaway. Could he run for office? He was disinterested in politics. George Magazine had come out. I remember when I went to the launch party for George Magazine. It was a political magazine that looked good. I don't know how many people would read it. But there was a lot of money behind it. You know, it's hung around for a number of years after that. But after his death, it kind of had no leadership because of his demise.
Okay.
I think it was a tragedy. I think, you know, look, when you're wealthy and you get toys, sometimes the toys get broken.
True. And sometimes you're not held accountable and you might slip through the cracks because of all the power and whatever. Yeah. Okay. You know what? I'm going to go through some more super chats while we're here, though. Mo Bishop, going to Dealey Plaza. Any recommendations? Walk it. Definitely.
Yeah, no. Go. I'm going to give you a recommendation. Hunley's right, but I'm going to give you a recommendation. Go on the overpass and walk all the way to the end towards the federal building and look at the view where the X is from that position on the overpass. Not the right-hand side facing it, the left-hand side near the federal building. Take a look at the extreme far left as a vantage point for shooting him in the throat, and tell me there's any other spot that he could have been shot in the throat through the windshield of the limo.
What Mark said. And
then watch our episode if you really want to. Watch the episode where I think I went to Dealey Plaza.
We both did, yeah. And
we're both in that episode, or no?
Oh, you did that. I also did the 360 camera footage.
Right. Okay. But that's all in the same episode?
No, it's just different points. We've talked about it multiple times.
Oh, okay. But there's an episode called Mark Goes to
Dallas.
To Dallas. Okay. Well, that might help you.
It might. Also, definitely go look over the picket fence and see how easy that shot is.
Yeah.
It is.
That's a ridiculous no-brainer.
Well, we had people use scopes. It's 35 yards.
Dude, the scope, you have to take your glasses off.
No.
You have to take your glasses off to shoot them.
No, a scope actually would be harmful.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You should remove your glasses.
What I mean is that we had people at the rangefinder to get the exact thing. So I said scope, I meant rangefinder, and it's 35 yards.
Yeah.
So ridiculous. Easy shot, chip shot. Let me see. Isle of Boston. What do you make of Poso, Gavin, and Bannon hitching their wagon to Laura Loomer in opposition to Elon is Doge DOA? I would hook nothing to Laura Loomer personally, but that's my...
I am a huge Laura Loomer fan. I don't know what's going on here, but Bannon hitching their wagon to Laura Loomer. She's full-on MAGA. Bannon's full-on MAGA. Gavin is who? Gavin
McGinnis, probably. I don't know.
Gavin McGinnis? He's involved in this thing?
Well, he's probably... It's all on X.
Posobiec is Poso?
Posobiec? Yeah, Jack Posobiec. Yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah,
that's always fun watching Jack Posobiec speaking Mandarin with Nicole. Anyway.
That was scary.
Yeah, we just love his intelligence ties.
That was scary.
Yeah, no, nothing to see there.
Two spooks together.
Yeah. So anyway, okay. Anglo 1967, longtime watcher, first time chatter. Getting off my fat ass to say Happy New Year and thanks for all the great shows.
Well, I thought it was Happy New York and thanks for all the great.
I think it's Happy New Year.
Happy New York or
New Year, dude.
I'm kidding.
Character limit, man. Come on.
I'm teasing you. I'm teasing.
Thank you very much. Bartow.
Juice
the word
crew. What?
Juice crew. The juice crew.
Juice crew for Jews?
I guess.
Juice
I think
crew?
I have heard juice crew before.
Boy, they have so many of them. There's such a few amount of Jews in the country. They seem to have a lot more words than they do people.
Okay, could be.
There might be more words than there are actual Jews.
They're not all nice either.
Yeah. The people or the words?
The words.
Both.
Yeah. Winston Smith, there's no such thing as a hyphenated American. You're either an American or you're not. I think that was Teddy Roosevelt who originally said
When does the hyphen come from? What's the history of the hyphen?
I don't know.
Italian American,
Italian Americans, Jewish Americans, this American. I think.
Well, it's a little confusing because if you say someone's Italian, you go, "Is he from Italy?" No, he's from Brooklyn. So I think that's where it came from to delineate that you were ethnically X, but you're from here.
Right.
That's Irish American. I mean, for years they just said Irish.
Right.
He was Irish. I mean, I'm half Irish, half Jewish. I mean, I don't say I'm half Irish American. I just go, I'm half Irish.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
but I think that's where the hyphen came from.
Well, trying to delineate, sure, whatever.
Right.
Well, and you could have fun with Puerto Rican and New Yorican.
Well, New Yorican is a specific type of Puerto Rican because they're not the ones in Pennsylvania or Florida. New Yorican is an incredible separate human being, and they know what I'm talking about in New York. And I mean that in a positive way. New Yoricans are people that are embedded in the New York culture for generations from Puerto Rico.
Yeah. But and it's not, you mentioned Irish, there's lots of Cubans in Florida. So it's Cuban American or Cuban or both, that's a.
Well, it depends what you're trying to talk about.
Well, it depends on generation, I guess, as well. Because a lot of them are first generation Cubans who moved to America or came here. And then there's those kids. And I don't know. I understand wanting to get rid of the hyphenated nature of it. You're an American or you're not an American.
Okay.
Ideally. And maybe I'm more sensitive to it because I grew up with a lot
Well,
of.
how do they get rid? We were talking about this the other day, not you, me and somebody else, about physically getting rid of birthright citizenship. It would have to be a 2/3 constitutional amendment, Eric, or a Supreme Court ruling. Anyone in the chat or anyone in the comment section knows how to do that, because I was talking with somebody yesterday who said it has to be a constitutional amendment with 2/3 vote. You know what that means, 2/3 of the House and the state legislatures and everything else, which is a crazy amount of work. Or, well, he can't do it. He can't make an executive order. Is it a Supreme Court ruling? For people who know this in the chat or in the comment section, there's some debate as to what is the proper legal method to eliminate or change or get rid of birthright citizenship. I think we're one of the only countries in the world that has this.
Yeah, but okay. First, I don't know if it's constitutional, 14th Amendment.
Yeah,
anyway,
it might be constitutional, bro.
Yeah, I have to look at it to get very specific on that. That's already getting.
I think the first step would be to go to the Supreme Court to get clarification on what's necessary to change it. How about
got to have a case though? So that's
got to have a case. Okay, you got to kick somebody out. You got to take somebody, grab them by the shirt, drag them out, who's a baby in a crib, and throw the baby out with the bathwater. How about that for a start? You throw out a baby that came with 2 illegal people who came across the border illegally. You toss them, take the baby. They sue to get their baby to be a U.S. citizen. That case goes to the Supreme Court.
Oh, okay.
Because the ACLU is going to back the baby. So now you've got your Solicitor General against the ACLU before the Supreme Court. That's the case. You got to keep chucking the babies out.
You know what I love about all this? Okay.
Right.
How about we address that second or third? Like we have illegals pouring over the border. How about we grab that and then toss it?
This is theoretical. I'm not talking about doing it.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying a lot of people are getting into that, and they immediately will bring up, well, what about this? What about it's like
they're jumping the shark. Homan's going to do what he's got to do on day one. I mean, Homan, it's going to take Homan years to just get through the criminal illegal aliens, which may be 200,000, 300,000 people that he's going to have to deal with first. I don't know how fast he could do that.
Right. And there's so much low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Like, please, let's clear out the prisons. Let's clear out, and immediately get these.
Well, she's building something down in Mexico. This woman down there to house them, the president of Mexico, she's putting together some sort of place for them to go.
I'm good with that.
Right, because she doesn't want them wandering around Tijuana.
God, no.
Right.
You know what? Because the Mexican borders are more secure than ours.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't allow
the southern Mexico border.
Right. Well, and everything else is like just rush them through to here. I mean, it's crazy. All right, Helena Olshnik.
Hope they take away their Obama phones before they leave. Like, you can't leave with what we gave you. You got it. All right, just go. Empty your pants. Let's go. Whatever you got, let's go. Put it here. You can't take it with you. Let's go.
All right.
You could stamp their hands so they could reapply.
Maybe. I don't know. Pew Pew. Happy New Year from Norway. Great show, Eric and Mark.
Okay. What does Norway have that we could buy from Norway?
Oil.
Is there anything that we could buy property-wise from Norway? What does Norway own? Got to find out. Anyone in the comment section, if you could tell us what Norway owns, we're on a buying spree now.
Yeah, and how is it that Denmark? You know what? I think Norway might own some of the islands in the Caribbean too, like Aruba.
Dude. I'm telling you, all of these Scandinavian countries have a place to go. Germany's got places to go. They all have they all kept one place so they could go for vacation. All of these former colonizers kept one place before. The French kept.
It's Dutch. It's Dutch. Sorry.
The Dutch have a place down there.
Aruba. The Dutch have Aruba, not Norway.
And there's Nassau in the Bahamas. There's British Antilles and all kinds of. The British kept a lot of them, but other cultures did too. French have a place down there.
Yeah, Norway may not have it, and they're also saying that that Finland is doesn't have
I'll tell you
much.
something. Finland's in a lot of problems right now. Finland's in a lot of trouble. These schmucky leaders of Finland got in on this war as the war was winding down, and they got to live there with Russia once this thing is over in a couple of weeks. They had they've seized a Russian flagged, not a Russian flag vessel. I don't know how to say it, but it's a vessel that they've seized that Russia linked to a flag that's from somewhere else so they could get oil delivered. But they had one, again, their cables were severed by a Chinese ship dropping anchor and ripping up the cables between Finland and Europe.
Estonia?
Finland and Estonia this time. Yeah. So they got Finland to Germany a month ago, a Chinese ship that dropped anchor and intentionally ripped the cables apart. Now they've done it between Finland and Estonia. They are being targeted by the Russians, rightfully so, from the Russian point of view, for coming in at the last minute and giving up their neutrality in this war, obviously because of us. Finland didn't wake up one day and say, we got to get in on this thing. This is from neocons in the State Department forcing them to do this. And it's sad because they barely almost got through this thing without getting involved. And they got to live there with Russia once the dust settles.
Right there with Russia.
Right there with Russia. Yep. Invaded by Stalin, of course, I think in 1939-ish. And visited by Oswald, who went from England to Finland to Russia. They take that boat over there, and that's how Oswald got to Moscow. A little bit of trivia there.
That's right, through Helsinki.
Mm-hmm.
Brian D. saying, haha, Pew, I've been a member for 9 months.
Oh, Brian with that beard.
Big old Brian.
Some people put their actual photos in there.
That's true. All right. Life of Brian, though, said there are lots of underemployed Americans with STEM backgrounds. There's no need for H-1Bs at all.
Well, I don't know. I'd have to see what they're talking about, how many there are, and why you need these people to come in from India anymore. I think there should be how about a moratorium for 5 years? How about that? Let everybody settle down. We put in a moratorium. Nobody can come in. The bar's closed. We're under renovation. You can't come in here and drink. You just got to wait outside, take a number. You can't get in for 5 years. How about that for an answer? Nobody gets in.
Could be.
Now you can't. Now you can't come in. To quote misquote Chaz Palminteri.
Okay, Brian D. Happy New Year to all the new listeners and loyal followers of AUS, and of course, thank you, Eric and Mark.
Oh, that's the same guy.
Brian. Yep. 9 months and a nice super chat. Thank you.
Wow.
Let me see. Carl Burkhalter, Secretary of War, totally commanded Army, Secretary of Navy, same in a declared war. Changed to Defense Department, came under executive authority.
Well, it used to be the War Department, and then it became the Defense Department.
Yeah,
it's called the War Department when you're at war. I think World War II. Didn't they call it the War Department in World War II?
Oh, well, it was the Civil War. I think it was.
No, I know, but I think even in World War II they called it the War Department.
It could be. I know it's been
comment down below
for a
if
long
you know
time.
the answer to this mindless question, but I think it's the War Department when we're at war, the Defense Department when we're at peace.
All right. Let's see. Where's the beef? Somebody who's talking about Wendy's.
That's Wendy's. Where's the beef? Right, with that lady.
Yep.
But did they have square hamburgers? Can
They
somebody?
do. They do.
Okay.
They do.
Did they have a hole in the middle of the hamburger?
I don't know about that. But that's like toad in a hole. Isn't that a type of a sandwich?
Well, I invented egg in the hole, and no one's ever going to take that away from me. And taking a piece of bread, toasting it in the frying pan, making a circular hole, dropping an egg in there, frying it, flipping it over. That's egg in a hole. I invented it in 1976. It might have existed before. I don't know. I worked in a coffee shop. I didn't invent it there. I invented it in upstate New York. But I don't remember ever seeing it before. I've tried to take credit for it my whole life to no avail.
That and the koozies is a hard life for you.
Egg in the hole. Oh, the koozies. Yeah. Yeah. We called them the igloo cooler. That was our version of the koozie. Look, I made a lot of money off those igloo coolers until we found titties and huggers in Texas and Louisiana, and then the Chinese bigfooted all three of us and crushed us to death with their 99-cent cooler that you can put your beer in.
All right. K-Dog's stepdad was in the Where's the Beef?
Oh, wow. What a weird little piece of trivia. But it's a woman, though. I thought she was saying, where's the beef?
Well, I think
there might have been multiple commercials. You're right.
Well, and there might have been other people. Like she might have been talking to somebody who's working there or something. I don't remember. Oh, okay. Thank you for this term. This will be a fun one. Isn't the name for an insurance fire referred to as blank lightning? All right.
Colloquial. Yeah. I mean, it's a slang. It's an urban slang. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I don't know how they're involved unless they own the building. In this case, the city of LA owned the building. So I guess it's a Marxist fire. Marxist lightning.
Yeah. All right. Dogboy said Trump should wear a football helmet out in public.
Well, I don't know if his hair is going to look good underneath there with the helmet, but clearly you don't want this guy to be a target by being taller than the miniature Secret Service trolls that operate down below him.
Did you see the video of him at Mar-a-Lago recently? He had a haircut. His hair was shifted in like one video. People are like,
really?
Oh my God. He didn't. It was tapered down. It wasn't quite as,
Well, it's got to get shorter when they do cut it. I mean, there's somebody cutting it. People like that get their hair cut like every other day, Eric. You know what I mean? It's like shaving. It's a common, they get a shave and a haircut, 2 bits. You like that? Then I pulled that out.
Yeah, it goes back to the old,
yeah, shaving a haircut.
It's our secret knock.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Speaking of the State Department,
I'm still scared of Marco Rubio in the State Department. I swear to God.
All right. Well, this is the current. Well, this is the current one. So even worse.
Yeah.
But State Department's Global Engagement Center, accused of censoring Americans, shuts its doors.
This is one of these, another one of these censorship programs. They're all the State Department runs the CIA. So these programs are being shut down by the Pentagon, by the State Department, by Central Intelligence, by USAID. They're all closing up shop because there's a new boss coming to town. And they are now ending these insanely unconstitutional programs that the Justice Department must go after and pull out the people who created them. That is the deep state. You don't have to look and pull out somebody like Liz Cheney. You have to go below the surface and get to the people who created this particular program and bring them out into the bright daylight of truth and put them on trial in the Congress. And I say trial, meaning hearings under bright lights under oath, and get to the bottom of this. You can't just let them close up shop, so to speak, and slither away under a rock, Eric. If you see what I'm saying, you really got to go under that rock. If you're Kash Patel or Nunez, who's the advisor to the president on intelligence, and go get him, grab him by the nape of the neck and pull him out of there.
Yeah. Well,
otherwise they're going to do it again. There's no consequences.
Well, that's what I've been talking about. That's the actual deep state, the embedded bureaucracy. And they just wait until the next people come along. And then
embedded bureaucracy in intelligence. And there's plenty of embedded bureaucracy who are just secretaries and shit who don't do evil. But this embedded bureaucracy, we're trying to get out the intelligence operatives.
Yes, but I don't like a lot of embedded bureaucracies that go even beyond that.
You're talking about 15 million people who work in the government. I mean, yeah. Sure.
And there are a lot of great people who work in the government.
Yeah.
A lot.
They're embedded too.
Yes, they are. And they know who the bad ones are. So we need to talk to them. I mean, it's not an easy task. But
I think it was Mike Ben said he was a CS-15, the highest level. GS-15. He was saying he was a GS-15.
Okay.
In the State Department and at the cyber desk.
That could be, and I don't know if
Yeah.
it's GS or GM because they did some shifting.
Yeah,
on
I
some of
forget.
that.
I forget. Yeah.
But well, here's somebody who had a really, really rough day. Decided, hey, I just don't want to, I don't want to work too
Look
late.
at this poor son of a bitch. This guy's got a FedEx truck filled with wrapped Christmas presents for children, and he doesn't want to. He's too exhausted to deliver them, so he throws them into the woods. This piece of shit. On Christmas Eve, he's trying to deliver these presents. Says fuck it, and he just backs them up into the woods. Leaves him there because he was dying. He was tired. Didn't want to go on anymore. They found all these children's Christmas presents and all wrapped and in the woods. And thank God FedEx is such an upscale company that they hire people like this douchebag.
Hey, we know
Holy
somebody
crap.
who works for FedEx who's a good guy. So
Oh,
not
yeah.
every, but yeah, that is our Grinch of the day, obviously.
Yeah. What a piece of shit.
No kidding. It's like, dude, couldn't you just call in sick?
I mean, you could just leave the truck and
Yeah.
go home. I mean, he threw them in the woods to make it look like he delivered them, like anybody wouldn't notice.
Which is just, yeah.
As soon as they
horrible.
found him in the woods, they realized they traced him back to this guy because they had FedEx
Which is pretty
labels.
easy to do. Yeah, it's
They
a
had
tracking
FedEx
number.
labels on them and tracking numbers, Hunley.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well,
I
tracking
can't
number,
go
here you
on
go.
anymore. I got a party. I've been smoking weed in this truck all freaking day.
No, yeah, obviously he's not a high performing genius. Let me see. Thinking too much.
You wanted to? I'm sorry. Go on. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Happy New Year, guys. Really appreciate all you do. Because Mark loves humor, I wanted to suggest Dave Barry's Year in Review, my favorite annual article to be read at year end. He's not a Trump guy, but think Mark would enjoy overall.
You know, I never found Dave Barry be funny at all. I didn't dislike him. I just found him to be like milquetoast humor.
It's like an Andy Rooney type.
Yeah, I never really got how this cat was considered the premier humorist of his day, Dave Barry. I mean, I don't dislike him or like him. You know, it's just not funny to me. I mean, my background is, coming from dark, sarcastic, sick humor, to quote Lenny Bruce. I mean, sick comedy was a type of comedy that they accused Lenny Bruce of doing in Time magazine. Came up with it, I think, the phrase sick comedy, which was the type of Lenny Bruce humor that was not Dave Barry type humor.
Well, I think that's it when you say humorist, because I think I've always thought of.
I mean, you ever wonder, Hunley, how Andy Rooney got that job? Every week on 60 Minutes, he would be there with some stupid, pointless thing. You ever wonder about that, Eric?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've always thought of humorist, I guess, seen as like Reader's Digest humor. Like it's not full on comedy. It's
right.
It's smile. It's like, give you a smile.
Even
Nostalgic.
Will Rogers was hipper than this guy. Will Rogers was more biting than Dave Barry.
Okay.
Did you want to mention this Bilderberg thing, by the way, before I forget?
Yeah, I was getting
I'm sorry. Go on then. Go ahead. I just wanted to remind you.
Okay. PokeSD's been a member for 16 months. Here's to another great year of AUS.
Pokemon.
Happy New Year, guys. Thank you. Not quite that Pokemon, but yeah, we could talk about Bilderberg.
What is there? A new Mr.
Yeah, they've
Bilderberg or something? As they had an election, they set up white smoke.
Do they have elections? I mean, yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, conclave sounds more like it, but okay, here you go. World's most secretive society appoints new leader to deal with trouble.
Right.
And so
is that the Bilderberg Hotel you were showing there? Hello, Bilderberg Hotel. How can we help you? Yes, you didn't show the photo. There is a photo of the Bilderberg Hotel somewhere in the Netherlands, which is in the Netherlands. But I would just like to check into the Bilderberg Hotel sometime. Not for this, but just as a tourist. I was wondering if you could get in there. Hello, Bilderberg Hotel. How may I help you?
I don't see a picture of the.
Right. Okay. Well, there are pictures of it. It may not be in that particular article, but it is in the Netherlands, as I recall. Oosterbeek, Netherlands, wherever that is.
I think it's interesting that Peter Thiel is is looming in the background tied to this.
What is he doing?
Saying he's emerging as a key player shaping Bilderberg's trajectory in the coming era of Trump 2.0. And of course, JD Vance is coming with,
well, 2/3 of them are from Europe. A third are from North America, if I remember. The bulk of them are from Europe, the members. There's only about, I want to say 150 Bilderbergers. Last time I looked, there's not that many members, by the way.
It's secretive, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, some of them have come out and said it, but the real thing to look at is the Atlantic Council. That's far more dangerous than the Bilderbergers. But look, according to James Bill, who may be a Bilderberger, the steering committee usually meets twice a year to plan programs and discuss. Oh, there it is. The Bilderberger Hotel. God, I'd love to stay there. Who was the last leader of this thing? It was Prince Bernhard of Lippe-Biesterfeld. He was the head for 22 years up until 2004. But I don't know who's currently doing it. Oh, Walter Scheel from Germany until 2016 was the chairman. Maybe there's a later one after 2016.
Well, this guy is taking it over now.
Who's this guy?
He was the former NATO Secretary General.
Oh, I remember this guy. There was a guy named Henry de Castries. The fifth count of Castries was in charge until 2019 from France. And his day job is chairman and CEO of AXAA, whatever that is. One of these guys, Peter Carrington, the sixth Baron of Carrington, Eric.
Well, they've got to have the pedigree.
The United Kingdom. Then this guy from Belgium, Etienne d'Avignon, was the Viscount of d'Avignon.
I think it's Viscount.
Well, there's an S in there, so I'm going to say the Viscount.
I understand, but
I'm just saying, I don't know. But he was the EU commissioner. So, I mean, they do have above ground jobs.
Yeah, it is Viscount.
Your count or my count?
Their count.
Okay, by your account. 2010, former Cuban president Fidel Castro wrote an article for the Cuban Communist Party newspaper, Grandma. The paper is called Grandma, by the way, in which he cited Daniel Estelin's 2006 book, The Secrets of the Bilderberg Club, which, quoted by Castro, describes sinister cliques and Bilderberg's lobbyists manipulating the public to install a world government that knows no borders. Go Castro. Dude, Castro's on this thing. And they cite conspiracy theory with Jesse Ventura has had an episode about the Bilderbergers too, possibly with Sean Stone at that point.
What are your thoughts on Jesse Ventura?
Dude, he's probably an original deep state operative. Look, he was the original Fetterman. Let me put it that way. I'll say he was the original Fetterman. And that Fetterman is a replacement for Schwarzenegger. They all seem to be the same person.
Okay. Ventura, was he a SEAL? I think he was.
He was a SEAL.
Which is funny because so was Crenshaw.
Right, but he was also a professional wrestler.
Well, I know, I get all that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that they have a place in entertainment besides, which gives them their populist roots.
Okay, this is already suspect. Ventura served in the Navy from 1969 to 1975 during Vietnam, but did not see combat?
Okay, there's a famous episode where somebody confronted him about his Navy SEAL thing, got into a fight, and then they sued each other or something. If you remember this in the comment section, this is not a TV show. In real life, he was confronted by someone who accused him of not being a SEAL, and it got into a pissing match. I don't remember all the details, if shoving came to pushing or lawsuits came. If you remember this at all, please put it down in the comment section, because I vaguely remember this. I'm not really a big fan of Jesse the Body Ventura, but I do remember this Navy SEAL incident, quote unquote, where somebody accused him of not being a SEAL, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just, yeah, well, whatever. I find it unusual that somebody would be in a special forces type of arrangement right in the middle of Vietnam, but did not see combat. That's just surprising to me.
I don't know. He moved to Mexico, so that's also sketch.
But okay, well,
he's been living in Mexico for years.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
left the government, or left as governor to Mexico, I guess.
I mean, I don't get it. You know, you're an American, you're, you know, born and raised here, and then I'm just going to move to Mexico and disappear. It's one thing to have a house in the Caribbean or something, or a vacation home in Switzerland, but to move lock, stock, and two smoking barrels down to a third world country. And I know people do retire there. I understand that there are resorts and that thing, but it is a little sketchy when somebody that public disappears off the face of the earth.
Yeah, let me see.
I mean, I don't know any governors that moved to Mexico.
He sued a widow of a SEAL, according to.
Oh, we're okay. All right. I know there's more to. I mean,
won $1 million from Kyle. Was that Chris?
I don't remember. I don't remember the details. I know something happened. Who's Kyle?
Chris Kyle. Chris Kyle.
A real SEAL or something?
Yeah, I think Chris Kyle.
Right. That's the guy who accused him.
Was a sniper, right?
Right. Right.
Chris Kyle. Okay.
Right. Right. But was there a shoving match in a bar? Was there a physical encounter? I'm not
sure.
Okay.
Comment
down below. Comment down below, you lazy bastards. Get off the couch. That's right. You get off the couch. Go over there. Wikipedia this shit and put it in the comment section.
All right. Interesting.
I don't know how we got on Jesse Ventura. Oh, he was doing a thing on the Bilderberg.
Pew Pew said yes, it started in a bar.
Thank you. Okay, I feel vindicated. Thank you, Pew Pew.
Okay, so here, let me see.
Thank you. Hold on.
Oh, it's in the book American Sniper.
What?
Jesse Ventura and Chris Kyle were involved in a legal dispute over an incident described in Kyle's book American
Right, but what's
Sniper.
that incident? What's that incident? Did he say he beat the shit out of Jesse Ventura in a bar or something in his book? I think that might have been it.
Oh, allegedly Jesse was punched out, but he won a libel suit against the estate.
Yes, that's what it was. He claimed to have punched out Jesse the body in a bar in his book. I don't know how he would get into that book, but he did, and then he sued him for libel.
Interesting.
But then he died anyway.
Well, Chris Kyle's dead, yeah.
Right, he died, and his wife had to deal with this.
Interesting.
Very weird. Very weird.
All right. Well, we got it.
What do you got?
No, nothing. American. If only Mark would read the chat. No, he has nothing
I
else
don't
to
like to read the chat because I get this. Eric does it. If we both did it, we would be stepping on each other. But I do read the comments. And if you want to comment down below for after the show, because we're doing the show right now. But there's no point in both of us reading the chat.
Stevie's got the right spirit. Honey, get off the couch for me and grab me a beer while you're up, sweetie.
And grab that Wikipedia and look up Jesse Ventura's conflict.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I hope everybody had a good Christmas, because we certainly did. Eric taught me how to make a ham, so that worked out, and we just glazed a little bit of it. There's a lot of cloves in that glaze. I don't really like the glaze, to be honest with you. Well, it's very clovey. It's very clovey.
Different ways.
Yeah, it's very clovey. I didn't really like that.
Cloves are strong.
Yeah. I mean, but the ham is great. I still have ham left over.
I can imagine.
This being, the
Stephen
Hanukkah. Yeah.
The Hanukkah ham. There you go. There's irony. Right. Stephen McMahon, use your contacts, maybe old Ruth, to tell Larange not to have the whole cabinet present at inauguration. Can you say tactical nuke?
It may not be tactical nuke, but I recommend people look on YouTube at the Maduro inauguration ceremony in Venezuela, where they are attacked by drones with weapons on them, and his bodyguards had to put up metal shields around them as a attack went on at the inauguration of Maduro. in Venezuela. So it's not that harebrained of a scheme.
All right. Pirate Ken, some more JFK. Wow, you're on a course. Okay, in June 1963, Ruby visited New Orleans, where he obtained the services of a local stripper known as Jada for his Dallas club.
Right.
But why such a distance to hire a dancer? Mob connection network?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously he was mob connected. He went back and forth to New Orleans because of Marcello, but again, he was a mobster way before he killed Oswald. I mean, the guy was a mobster going back to when Nixon was a congressman and worked for Nixon as an investigator of mob infiltration into American unions. I mean, there's a long history of Jack Ruby having nothing to do with Oswald. However, that being said, I think it was the Campisi brothers within Dallas that gave him the equivalent of $350,000 to do the actual hit, which was a couple of days before. But Jada was from New Orleans, and he did go to other strip clubs, which is not unusual to find talent, quote unquote. And Jada did have some talent.
Yeah, I'm sure he wasn't sleeping with her.
No. He definitely wasn't sleeping with her because he was on the other team. And I think a lot of the girls felt very protected by him because not only did he was totally nuts, he would beat the living shit out of anybody who ever touched one of the girls in his clubs, but he never touched them himself for reasons explained in the Jack Ruby episodes.
Well, yeah, he probably was a very popular boss to them.
That's what I mean. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For that reason. Absolutely. A, he didn't sleep with them, and B, he was violent to anyone who attempted to touch them or do anything.
Makes sense. Jan McGill, the Finnish word Kamala means horrible.
Is that true? That's hysterical.
I don't know, but it should be if it's not.
Wow.
Let me see. Carl Burkhalter, Defense Department began in 1947. Okay, well, there you go. Secretary of War in World War II.
Well, it was the War Department, in World War II. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Some more Truman. Stephen McMahon, Preskov of Russia recently referred to USA as Pindostan. Dependar is the King MOF, the USA's billionaire aristocracy.
Hey, McMahon, what's going on over there? Put down the dab and straighten up. You were totally sane, and now you're high as a kite and writing things in hieroglyphics. Let's go, McMahon.
Something like this.
Look, I appreciate the $5, but let's try to make some clarity there. Put down the bong.
This is something that I can understand because I'm completely lost.
Wow.
All right.
People get crazy with these statements. You have to bring in the Enigma machine from Poland.
Oh, perfect. This is the last super chat, it appears, but it's perfect to close on. Since Mark is wearing the Dylan shirt, have you seen A Complete Unknown?
Not yet. Probably going to go tonight or tomorrow.
Oh, okay. I thought you might have already done that.
No, I didn't see it yet. It came out Christmas Day, so
it appears that it's doing well with audience score of 96%. So
well, you're going to go. That's a kind of misnomer. The only audience score that matters is money and box office, but the score is for people who are obviously pre-selected to go to a Dylan biopic.
Right, but then there are also going to be the picky ones, like the ones who instruct us every little detail that they see wrong. And
right, I don't think they know enough to do that with this, because that would be an older generation of Dylan fans who would know the stuff that you're referring to, which is not the people that go physically to a theater. Although James Woods did go, and he
loved it.
He loved it, but he's an actor. Actors love actors. I'll go to a movie with Thomas Jane. The movie will suck, but because he liked an actor, greatest movie I've ever seen in my life. I'm going, dude, the movie sucked. You like the performance by this guy. And that's how they look at things differently, depending on what division you're in show business. That's how you look at a movie. In other words, the director looks at it from a director's point of view. Lighting people go, the lighting was terrible. The score people go, this is the worst score I've ever heard. Actors look at actors. Screenwriters look at the script. And that's the way it is. But the regular people look at the overall picture.
So what do you look at?
Screenplay all day long.
Okay.
Screenplay. I can't help myself. I can't help myself. Just the way my mind is wired. I mean, I notice other things, but I if it's got bad wigs, I notice a bad wig. But the screenplay is the main thing for me. James Mangold wrote this. I don't think he wrote Walk the Line. I know he directed both, but I think he wrote this one. And it's weird because there's a chick named Susie Rotolo. This is getting into the whiz a little bit, but Susie Rotolo was Dylan's girlfriend, 1961 to 63-ish, around in there. She was 17. He was 20 in Greenwich Village. They don't have the rights to her book, nor her rights. So Elle Fanning is playing a chick with a different name. So right away, there's trouble for me, which means they didn't want to spend the money to buy that book, which would have cost them, generally speaking, $250,000. They chose not to buy that book. And you say, well, what difference does it make? I'll tell you what difference it make. You can't show an intimate scene legally with Elle Fanning and the Dylan actor because of copyright violations. In other words, there's only one person who could say that that was an intimate scene that was real. And if you don't have the rights to the book or the life rights of the person having an intimate scene, you're wide open for lawsuits, wide open. So that means that the Elle Fanning character, by definition, is going to be superficial. Just by definition, because they don't have the rights to the girl's name. And this happened even with Oliver Stone.
I was going to say Oliver Stone changed Ruth Paine, for God's sake.
Because he was afraid of the litigiousness of Ruth Paine. There was no underlying rights to buy other than Ruth Paine's life rights, which he didn't do. With books, you could straight up pay for the book and say, okay, now we're covered. When you get a screenplay, the lawyers vet it and they just go like, okay, here's a screenplay Groubert wrote for this movie for Dylan. He's got Susie Rotolo in there. The lawyers say, how did you get this information about Susie Rotolo? And you go, well, I heard from a person or a guy, and ain't going to cut it, right? And you go, well, I read it in her book. Okay, now we got to buy the book, schmuck. Otherwise, get rid of the character. You know what I mean? But how do you get rid of Dylan's girlfriend from 1961 when you're doing a movie between 61 and 65?
Is there a way to launder that? And by that, okay, what I mean is you have, she wrote a book, another person wrote a book, another person wrote a book. Let's say that Jack Smith writes a book and has all this in it. He did the research of all these other books and then writes a book and then they buy his book.
Yeah,
does that give them a laundering mechanism to say?
You absolutely can do it, and it's been done before. However, that person, the original source, can come after you, claiming that you bought a book of a guy who I never talked to, I never met. He wrote a salacious book about me blowing a monkey in the circus, and that's in his book, and I'm suing you for, again, you have no coverage. In other words, I got fired from this local newspaper because I wrote about a story that was in the New York Post, okay, about the owner of the Dodgers having an affair with this woman here in town. I got fired because of the Singer letter that the publisher got. And I said, I took it from the New York Post. And as Barnes has pointed out, taking it from another publication does not give me immunity. In other words, they went after the New York Post. I'm printing a story that I read in the New York Post. That doesn't give me immunity as a journalist.
What about using words like allegedly and the New York Post reported? Does that give
doesn't cover it? If it's a smear, lie, a slander against someone, you're just rewriting the slander. I didn't know this. You're rewriting the slander that is defamation in the first place. It's bizarre.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got to talk to the lawyers on this one because
I can show you
from what I understand.
Letter.
I understand, but he's famous for that, and I'm sure that he'll write a letter. Whether he has,
I asked Barnes about it. He said it was correct. That Barnes backed him up. But that being said, that doesn't give me the rights to Susie Rotolo's story. In other words, if I do a scene with with Dylan having sex with Susie Rotolo in an alleyway in back of a nightclub, and she says, I never did that with him. This is outrageous. And this is outrageous. And you go, well, it was in your book. Good. You should have bought the book. You know what I mean? Like you didn't buy the book. You can't have the cow and the milk. You know what I mean, Eric? You can't touch the book without buying it. So now the most intimate stuff that Susan Rotolo, my point being that it's already got some, in my mind, some damage before I even gone into the movie.
Well, a lot of these are problematic anyway, and they've got a lot of based on, and all this distancing language anyway, like
take even JFK,
fictionalized account of blah blah blah. Or
well, they're not selling this like that. I mean, Dylan's still alive, and I don't know what part Dylan has signed off on. They've obviously bought the music, but look at Crossfire, the book that Oliver Stone bought, On the Trail of the Assassins, the Jim Garrison. He bought 2 books, but he also paid a lot of consultants. Which is another way to do it. You could pay the consultants to be on your payroll, and that's part of it too. But he bought 2 different books for JFK. Most of it is from Garrison's book, but he still had Crossfire. All
right. Let me see. I've got a Rumble rant that snuck in here. Joseph Gerard 3333. Sorry for not contributing before. SS only, and the government doesn't like me.
You're dead to us.
Social Security. Anyway,
I see.
Did either of you skip class with socialitis or with schoolitis to see Maureen Dean or Mo Dean at the Watergate hearings? I think it was 4th grade for me.
I think it was in the summer for me, and I don't remember if it was in May or June. I thought it was more in the summer. I don't know. You're talking about her being there with John Dean's testimony in back of him?
I'm guessing.
Right. I remember seeing John Dean's testimony. I don't think I cut school to see it.
I like Alan replied to him on here. I hated Watergate because it preempted Merv Griffin.
That's funny. It did preempt a lot of television. Merv Griffin being part of it. Another closeted homosexual who sued me for Jeopardy, the home game, which we talked about before. But last night we were watching a new show, which is on Prime, called Pop Culture Jeopardy. And it is so freaking difficult. I think I got 3 answers. They're going to have to dumb this down because it's 3 people. There's teams of 3, and it's 3, 3, and 3. And it's Jeopardy. It's on the same set as Jeopardy, and it's called Pop Jeopardy, Pop Culture Jeopardy. But it's like pop culture, like this TikTok video was made famous because of the song. And
so it's new shit. That's gonna kill you.
No, bro. It's literally 5 minutes old new shit.
Oh, I thought it was like like Graduate or wow.
I got like 4 answers.
Oh, you're doomed.
My other person got 95% of them right. And I was like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about here. I was a pain in the ass to watch this show.
That was a generational divide, to be sure.
Multi-generations, because the questions were literally from so many of them were current. Let me put it that way. Very current.
I'd be screwed on a bit of that too, I'm sure. I probably do better than you, though.
You definitely do better than me. There was one Jethro Tull question, though, which we thought you'd get.
Okay.
I don't know. I forgot what it was, but the answer was Jethro Tull.
Probably the Grammys when they beat Metallica and pissed everyone off.
They're not direct questions. They're totally confusing questions. The questions themselves are convoluted.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
All right, well, Stephen McMahon is trying to answer his earlier very confusing thing. The original Pindar was supposed to be the Dauphin, spirited away from the Bastille in 1791, went to North Carolina, and became founder of the Poyser family.
Now you explain it. Now I get it, McMahon. Now that makes sense. The original Pindar. I thought you were talking about the first or second generation of Pindars afterwards. You're talking about the OG Pindar. Okay.
There you go.
Right now, I'm good. I was just confused about which Pindar he was talking about.
Okay. Well, good. You know what? We will continue this conversation.
Right. Wait. Can they subscribe to the channel first, so we can?
I don't know. Can they
break through the $118,000 limit that YouTube has set for us?
I don't know.
Hey, everybody! It's your friend Al. And I just want to tell you that everybody on this podcast is a real straight shooter. And when it comes to having the information, they're right on the mark every time. you should give them a subscription because they were behind me the entire time through all of my drama. Lord knows they wouldn't stand in front of me.
See, Alec Baldwin got good news this week, so you can subscribe to
Alec
us.
Baldwin is completely exonerated.
Yes, he's off the
How
hook.
much money did that cost him, Eric? I mean, pound for pound, the lawyers, everything.
Well, it's still costing him.
Yeah.
There's other suits out there hanging that he's going to have to pay on. So, yeah, millions.
I forgot about that.
I'm going to say, ironically, he may be paying more than the whole damn budget ever was.
So you kill a woman and you pay to get out of it is basically the moral of the story. If she was killed by a grip, this never would have happened.
No.
Right.
No, I mean, they might have gone after, tried to, some producers or whatever, but no,
right.
not like this.
They never really went after the producers, did they?
Only civilly.
Yeah.
Which I've always found kind of odd because, God, I forgot her name. It's been a while now.
I know, I forgot her name now.
The one who was having her do double job.
Yeah, the heavyset girl who was the production manager.
Wow.
I forget her name. Sarah. That was the art director.
No, not Sarah. Gabby.
Gabrielle Pickle.
Gabby. Yeah, Gabrielle Pickle. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you.
She was the one who I felt like there may be something there, but they didn't. Amdrum sent a chat earlier saying White Castle hamburgers are square with the holes.
Thank you. Oh my God, thank you. Because I'll tell you why. We were doing a movie in Queens, and I was a location manager, and I rode away to White Castle. We needed the location for the movie, and for reasons that I don't understand, they gave me the entire White Castle to use for the movie, and they gave us a White Castle in Queens, right over the Queensboro Bridge. And we took it over to make this movie, and we were running it with the lights on at night. So these drunks start pouring in from Manhattan, going home to Queens at 3:00 in the morning, and they see White Castle, and they come in and start ordering stuff. And we're trying to get them out, but they're drunk and disorderly. So we started giving them hamburgers and shit, and they wouldn't leave. And it was just a complete crazy debacle. I gave everybody milkshakes. Everybody got hamburgers. We ran this White Castle into the ground. They wrote me a letter saying we'll never do another movie as long as we live out of the Midwest, wherever their headquarters were. I think we completely destroyed that White Castle in Queens.
Okay. Yeah, I think White Castle might be out of Ohio.
It was somewhere in the Midwest. Yeah. Like I want to say like Akron, Ohio or something, or Dayton. I couldn't believe they agreed to it.
Dustin Russell, where is it?
Attention, Dustin Russell.
I'm sure he will set us straight on that.
Somewhere in Ohio, if you know the headquarters of White Castle, please put it down on the bottom in the comments.
Somebody said Columbus.
I wouldn't be surprised. Right, I wouldn't be surprised. Columbus sounds familiar.
Okay, Alan said White Castle in the Bronx late night is amazing.
That's right. This was the Queens version when you come over the Queensboro Bridge. It must have been the clubs that closed because it must have been like 4:30. And all of a sudden we had a problem on our hands that we did not think of. And it was one young guy after another coming in there, bombed out of their mind, going, give me 10 White Castles and the curly fries and the drinking thing. Yeah.
All right, we have people claiming Chicago too. So,
right, but Chicago, Illinois. I remember it being Midwestern town. I remember it, but it's not really relevant. The point of the story is that these schmucks agreed to let us film in there.
Yeah,
most of it was outside anyway because we had the protagonist in a convertible Cadillac or a Cadillac with the girl who was the romantic interest. Whose father wrote Brother, Can You Spare a Dime during the Depression and paid for them growing up in Beverly Hills from one song.
Okay, well, from the CIA Encyclopedia, also known as Wikipedia.
CIA-pedia.
The headquarters is in Columbus, Ohio.
That's what it was.
It was founded in Wichita, Kansas. So
what did they move? I wonder if I wrote to Wichita, Kansas. It seems like I might have, but again, it could have been the other way around. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, I learned how to make milkshakes that night. Let me put it that way. I was running the milkshake machine on this movie.
So what is harder, was it an egg white or a milkshake?
Well, the machine made its own milkshake. So I was just there the whole night giving them to the crew. And then the drunks came in and I said I couldn't get them out. So I gave it to the drunks.
Okay. All right. Well, on that note, we are going to head over to Locals with our drunk friends there. Woo-hoo! And discuss this further. And folks, subscriptions are free. You can always hit that button below. It will help us out.
On Tuesday, we're going to do like a Q&A end of year thing, Eric, for New Year's.
Yeah, just a Q&A on whatever. I mean,
from the year.
We covered a lot this year. I mean, we did have an Oswald episode this year. There's Watergate things this year. Dick Carlson, I think, might have been this year, but I don't
know. But try to make your questions into the form of a question like Jeopardy.
Well, yeah, or you have like a Q, or you write the word question, or whatever. And I do try to get, as wide of a swath as I can. Not only super chats, it's questions. It's a good way to close out the year.
Are you a super chat or a super douche? That's up to you. It's either one or the other. Don't be a super douche. Be a super chat.
Or just be super. And we will see you and Locals right now.